recently discovered.
I thought you might like that.
It was lots of fun. We only got a few laps, only one practice session, so there's still a bit to learn. But look, we did a lot of homework overnight, and hopefully we'll tune it up and have a red-hot crack in qualifying.
Trans Am qualifying's coming up a little later this morning on our live stream coverage, and we're pushing them away. We're losing Adrian Moyle's Camaro. It's being pushed back. That's a pit entry, I should say, and they've wheeled that out of the way. So we're 2 down just when we thought we were about to get going. And we have to try again here. Great shot from the V8 Sleuth drone cam. Pit lane's packed. Every garage you go into, there is a production car and a production car team. 72 of them. It's going to make for a busy day tomorrow. Now let's wait and see what we're doing here, because the guys on the front row of the grid are keen to get going. There's cars out of grid spots everywhere.
Yeah, but the front two are sounding like they're ready for a launch.
Our timing screen is giving us a countdown of the time. It's a timed block race. So this is eating into the time that these guys would be rather turning laps at Bathurst. We're going to let them loose now, so let's call it to turn 1. Stubber's got the jump. Porsches are fast. Off the grid. The Hi-Tec wall cam captures it all. Turn 1. Time to climb. David Canine out wide. The Porsche gets to the wall. That's drama.
Hopefully he can get it going. It didn't look like
he's
too big of a hit.
Fired it up now. The question is, has it damaged the steering? Oh, he's really struggling. Not struggling. Paul Stubber leading the way. The Pole Camaro out in front.
That was an incredible launch from the Camaro.
Oh, close contact. Craig Allen on the outside there. A rub on the way up the mountain. We had drama before we started. We've got drama now that we've started. I can't keep up with this.
The elbows are out bloody early, but it's good to see.
Long climb. Up through the cutting. Steepest part of the circuit. Great mix of cars. It's dominated really by the V8s at the front. Mustangs. The Camaro that leads the way. On screen, that's Luke Harrison in the yellow 65 Mustang, and it's smoking. No! We haven't even got half a lap here, and there's drama going on everywhere with the historic touring cars. First race of the weekend for them.
Oh, that's getting worse. It's definitely getting worse.
And I reckon that's oil on the rear tyres, the way that thing was sliding across the top.
Hopefully that hasn't laid down oil. Hopefully everyone gets through there clean. I mean, it's still smoking, but the cars behind looked a bit slippery.
I wonder if it's a bit of overfill, maybe. We'll
Hopefully
keep an eye. We'll keep an eye. Sitting here, 3rd place. Forest Elbow for the first time.
Coming down Conrod, these cars get to really open it up, foot down to the firewall and see what they're made of.
It's all Mustangs in the chase. It's the Camaro heading the way, up over the rise, Conrod straight. When these cars were new, no such thing as a chase. It was straight all the way down to Murray's Corner. Replay of the start. So David Canine, the Porsche, he just gets 2 wheels on the dirt, can't quite turn it in, carries all that speed, bounces over the sand, and just snags the Shannon's wall on the exit of turn 1.
That's really unfortunate, that.
Back to our leader, Stubber, sliding. That's nothing new for him in that car. Wide, Luke Harrison there, pulled it up in time. End of lap 1, timed race. We've got 9 minutes on the clock. And the question is, can anybody catch? Oh, there's that smoke. It's still going from Luke Harrison's car. Can they catch Stubber? That's the great chase. That's the great shot. Up Mountain Straight on this fantastic weekend of Easter Motorsport, the 9th time the Bathurst 6 Hour has been held. Trico Trans Am's later in the day. Production cars as well. It's a festival of motorsport. There's something for everybody this weekend. But really, if you don't have a V8, you're going to struggle here. But defending the honour, and appropriately, in 9 and 11, is Doug Barber there in the Porsche. Oh, no. What are we doing, gents? Graham Woolhouse. Oh, no. Drama. Greg Topfer. That's the car that delayed the start. He's in the wall. Up at turn 2, Griffin's Bend.
Oh, no. I wonder if that's got to do with...
there's cars going everywhere. Is there fluid? from car 17 that we've been keeping an eye on. What's going on here? This has been a dramatic first race to kick off our Saturday morning here at Mount Panorama. Just as we picked up on one car, there's another one in the fence. Let's have a look at the replay. Already parked.
Oh, that's in really hard.
Let's hope it goes in hard. It's the parallel parking Mustang Championship.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah,
nice
that's a
to
real
see.
shame. In the mid-pack, XU1 Tiranas, Mustangs. Oh, you just got to love a 6-cylinder XU1. Across the top of Mount Panorama. That's Scott Cordwell in the 42, the gold XU1. And unsurprisingly, we're going yellow flags. We're going safety cars here at Mount Panorama because of those cars that have stopped in the fence. The Bathurst Mazda safety car will be out on track to control the field in a race that has sort of had it all, but it's had nothing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy to start, but yeah, it's far out. It's really disappointing to see, but you know, first things first, we hope the drivers are all safe. That was a really hard hit, that second one, so hopefully they're all good, but yeah, it's not the way you want to see their race end.
Closes us down to walking pace to line them up in a queue. So time remaining on our timings, just under 7 minutes. By the time we get them formed up under the safety car, we get the track cleaned of cars. Let's hope we get at least one green flag racing lap, and there's a chance for these guys to get some racing in. But it's really a case now of rolling on down. So our eyes start to turn to, at the end of this race, to the 6 hour. It's the final practice session before qualifying that comes up this afternoon. If you're a V8 fan, don't worry. There's a few V8s in the 6 hour as well with the General's badge. There's Greg Topher out of the 88 car. That's good to see both guys are okay. Graham Woolhouse stepping out from Western Australia. We've got drivers from all over the country in historics here this weekend. Lots from New South Wales, obviously, but plenty of Victorians, Queenslanders. There's some WA drivers and some Queenslanders as well, as preps continue for 6 hour practice. Let's have a look again. If you've just joined us, this is at Griffin's Bend, and thank goodness that is why we have tyre bundles rather than concrete walls.
Absolutely. That's going in at that angle, at that speed. A tyre bundle's only going to do so much for your car. But look, the driver stepped out, so I guess that did its purpose.
I mean, back in the day, that's a concrete wall. Nothing, no tyre bundles, nothing in front of it, no belting to keep those tyres that are all chained together to keep them in the case of an impact. So it's done its job.
You touched on the different competitors in this field. It's so great to see these cars getting so much love. It's such a big category, the historic touring cars. It's awesome to see. These cars are awesome. That's what a lot of people in Australia grew up watching, being part of. And my grandfather, he raced a Mustang as well for a short period of time there. And it's cool to see. There's so many here at Bathurst, the best place in the world.
Well, I think of XU1 Tiranas, I think of Barguanas as well, and it's a bit of everything that everyone's had a crack at over the years.
My grandfather did a lot of hill climbs here at Bathurst in Escorts and Tiranas. Actually, I shouldn't say that. He was a Ford fan. It's Escorts only.
Too late, you've said it. Hey, Skippy's here, by the way, too, which is always one of those scenarios here at Mount Panorama. The kangaroos bouncing around. You couldn't get anything more Australian for a motor race than some kangaroos bouncing around. Safety cars on the track. Bathurst Mazda safety car has control of the field, rolling across the top of Mount Panorama, dropping down the other side. But we mentioned before that Trico Trans Am Series is here. It's round 2 of the National Series, and again, a record field for the second round in a row. It was a record in Tasmania. It's a record here. 41 cars, with a range of cars too for the TA2 Muscle Car Series running as part of it this weekend. Both series are awarding points for their respective series. So while we're under safety car here and rolling around at Bathurst, we might take a look and a chat with, well, a young lady with a very famous surname. She's making her Bathurst Enduro debut as part of an all-girl team. Well, Tabitha Ambrose, welcome to Bathurst. This is all really exciting. Your debut in a major endurance race at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, how cool. I get to race a BMW with the Buccini clan. And yeah, just out here for this weekend, and it's going to be great.
Now, it's an all-girl team. No pressure for you because they've won the class here before. You're the new part of the combination this year. How have they welcomed you in here? Is there any pressure to back it up from last year, or are we here just to have some fun?
No, Courtney and Carly have been great. They've been awesome to me. They've just welcomed me, and I've had a couple test days with them now and looking at the data and everything, and I think it's going to be a really good weekend.
What's the approach when you're young, you're learning? This is a pretty imposing place. How are you lining up to aim at this weekend?
I mean, I don't think you could ever get enough laps around this joint. So the biggest thing for me this weekend is green flag racing and making sure I get all my laps in. I don't want to be the reason for a safety car. I don't really want to be the reason for a red flag. So just keeping my nose clean, having a lot of fun, and being able to carry on some of this experience that I get from the Pulsar to the 6-hour class is going to be really, really beneficial for me.
Tell me about this track. What do you think about it? Which bit scares you? Because surely there's a bit. Which bit do you love? What do you love about this place?
I love everything about this place. I mean, it is quite an intimidating track, but I think at the end of the day, I just kind of have to reassure myself. It's just like any other track. At the end of the day, just to keep the pressure off. But definitely the cutting is quite intimidating, but I'm getting my head around there.
Now, when I go back through my memory bank here, I remember your dad racing the Hi-Tec Falcon for Ross and Jimmy Stone. He was on pole at his first ever Bathurst 1000 in 2001, which was amazing at the time. He had a run in the 6-hour a couple of years ago in a Mustang. Does he give you advice? Is he the kind of bloke that you've got to go, I've got this, Dad, leave me alone, or is it give me everything you've got? Which is it on the scale here?
We have our debriefs, and it's give me everything you got. I mean, he knows his stuff. He's been around here quite a few times now. I'd be silly not to listen to him. So, no, I'm trying to ask as many questions as I can, just learning off him. Same with Adam Macro. So I've got Adam Macro in my corner. He was the Super 2 champ and Formula 4 champ, and he's had a couple Bathurst runs as a co-driver in the car. So he knows his way around here too. So I've got so many great people in my corner, and I just get to ask so many good questions.
You've been busy this year. I mean, Formula Ford, Hyundai Excels, 6-hour, Pulsar this weekend. You've got a busy program this year, but where's all this going? What's the ultimate aim of where you want to take this?
Well, I kind of want to take this as far as I can, but my main goal is to be competitive in whatever I do get into. So I don't want to be, just racing around the back having a bit of fun. I want to be up in it, and I want to be in the top 10, and I want to have a crack. What's
the goal for this weekend? Is it a class win with the girls? I mean, they've been there, they've done it before. Is it just to finish the race? What's the feel?
I mean, last year they got a top 10, outright, and they also won their class. So, I mean, I am the newbie in the field, in the class. And so hopefully I can pick up the slack and carry my way through and pick them up as a team, and obviously they'll do the same because they've been racing with each other for 3 years now, just doing enduros together. So just getting to learn off Courtney is going to be super exciting. I mean, she raced the Porsches and she's done her time in the Formula Ford, so I'm really looking forward to learning off another really great female driver.
Well, all the best this weekend. Exciting times. Stay safe, go well, and have fun.
Yeah, awesome. I cannot wait.
Those familiar colours, that familiar sponsor, that familiar surname. The girls are getting ready for practice 3. Courtney Prince on screen, getting some applause from the Team Buccini Racing team ahead of practice 3. There is the 999 BMW that the ladies will be behind the wheel of, and they're running 2 cars, that team again. They finished top 10 last year and won their class. That was a great result, but we have bad news here, Benjamin. We have Mustangs on trucks. That's a good news story. The bad news story is we're going to run out of time to be able to get back to green flag racing with the historic touring cars. Quite simply, time certainty. There are windows for all of these categories, and unfortunately, the craziness, some of the dramas that were going on there has robbed us of a race and some green flag conditions. So prep's going on down in pit lane here as teams are getting ready. It's the last practice session before qualifying this afternoon. There'll be 2 qualifying sessions. The field will be split in half. So the slowest half of the field will get 1 session. The fastest half of the field will have another. So a bit more free space on the track to try to set a lap time for qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of need that when there's 72 cars. But the last session is all about getting ready for qualifying and getting ready for the race. Last few driver changes, fuel fuel rig checks, everything like that.
And you know, you've been there, you've done the 6 hour with your family team, you've run a few cars over time. When you're fighting for a class, I mean, you're not an outright car that's at the very, very front, but I mean, there's 8 classes in this race. There's 8 races going on within this race. Everyone's got something to aim for.
Absolutely. And look, building up to it, it's all about just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, because come the end of the 6 hours, you want to be there. And to be there, everything's got to go perfect. So if you want to win, you've got to make sure you make it. And then you've got to make sure you got speed as well. So having a reliable car, having everything running perfectly, your driver changes, your pit stops perfect, your wheel changes, everyone is on top of everything. It's important that it all comes together, because it doesn't work. It's not a sprint race. It's a long endurance race, and you've got to make it all work together.
Some of that advice we might have to give to some of the historic touring car racers who haven't made it through this race. There is Carly Bacchini getting on board the 999 BMW for this third practice session. There were 2 practice sessions here yesterday. Oscar Target was fastest in the first. Will Davison was fastest in the second. And we talked about Simon Hodges and Jaden Ojeda aiming for 3 wins in a row. Will Davison's aiming for 3 pole positions in a row, because that car that he drives with Tim Lay and Beric Linton started from the pole here the last couple of years. They haven't been able to convert that, though, into victory. I'm sure they'd rather swap with the other boys and give them the pole if it means that they get the win.
That's the great thing about this race. You can be the fastest car, but not necessarily just have a guaranteed win in your pocket. So it all comes down to strategy. And, yeah, Ojeda and Hodges, they've been there. They've made the strategy work. Unfortunately, like for Will Davison, he was the fastest car, but it just didn't come together.
Checkered flag is out under safety car conditions for the historic touring car. So Paul Stubber crosses the line first, but really it's the win you have when you don't have a win. Thomas Randall on screen there. He's back with the Cavich boys, with Ben and Michael, with Garth Walden racing in their BMW. And this is, I mean, we've got so many familiar faces and names from supercars, but we've got so many races from other categories and club motorsport. It's really an amazing weekend, the 6 hour. But just to recap, Paul Stubber in front of the Chev at the end of that race when the checkered flag flew under safety car with very limited green flag running. Brad Tilley, Luke Harrison, Michael Michelli and Craig Allen in the Mustangs. Terry Lawler in the Shelby, best of the Group S cars next from Doug Barber's Porsche. Then Andrew Beard, Keith Davidson and Michael Hibbert in the Valiant Charger. Jamie Tilley, remember he started 44th? He got to 11th and we barely had any green flag running. I mean, there were a few that made it easy for him, but nevertheless, he got to 11th. As we tick on through the order of cars, I mean, look at the different brands. Datsuns, Fords, Jags, a bit of something for everybody. So that is the historic touring cars. We're going to take a break here on our streaming coverage from Mount Panorama. Coming up very soon at 8:50 local time, it's practice 3 for the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hour.
Hi-Tec Performance Oils. You want the best for your car. Drive well, stay safe with Hi-Tec Oils.
Beautiful conditions on the mountain on Easter Saturday as we continue our build-up towards qualifying. Trico, Trans Am and a whole lot more here at the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour for 2025. And yesterday, amazing scenes as all 72 cars entered in the main race rolled out onto Mountain Straight for the first time. They had 2 practice sessions yesterday, one 50 minutes, one 60. This is a 40-minute hit-out. The final tune-up before qualifying later on this afternoon. Good morning, wherever you might be watching around Australia or around the world. Richard Crail with you in the commentary box alongside Brian Vanderwacker and the 2000 Bathurst 1000 winner Jason Bargwanna. We've got the band back together. Good morning, gents. It is a stunning day for car racing on the mountain, and this is the final hit-out. And this is an important one, Brian. Good morning.
It certainly is. A very good morning to you, Richard Kroll. We love this event, don't we? It's the ninth iteration of the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour this weekend, and there's so many great storylines up and down the paddock. I think probably too many to touch on over the course of today and also tomorrow as well. So many combinations. Jason Bargwanna, I mean, you've had a long history with obviously the family involved in this race as well.
What I love about this event is when you're walking up and down pit lane, the atmosphere, the energy, the guys out the back, they're working on their cars. They've got spare cars out the back. They're pulling parts off. It's just a fantastic lead into a great event. Iconic. It's certainly cemented itself in the motorsport landscape, hasn't it, as one of the iconic events here at Bathurst, and we're really looking forward to it this weekend.
I crunched the numbers this morning. If we spent 45 seconds talking about every car in the field, we'd need a practice session well over an hour long. So if we don't talk about you and you're in the grid this session, don't worry. We've got 6 hours tomorrow. 72 cars. It is the biggest grid for a practice session in a Bathurst endurance race, but we want to build up to that record on Sunday, which is 64 cars. If we can get 65 on the grid, or potentially even more, that will be an amazing thing. And this is the entry list, 72 cars. So we'll scroll through this relatively quickly. You can see the class highlights. We'll explain those over the course of the weekend as well. But basically performance differentials all the way through the field. Class X being the ultimate fastest, baddest cars. The A1 and A2 categories are fascinating this weekend, Bargs. And the Ford Mustangs are genuinely looking like they've been perhaps more in contention now than they've ever been for an outright result.
Well, absolutely. And as we go into the weekend, we will get deeper into the pit strategies. The times have got to stay. But the key to it is, the understanding is the X-Class cars, 6 pit stops. A2, that Mustang that's on the pace, only 4. So that's going to be a real critical point as the weekend plays on, as will the big change to the Hankook tyre this year. The key to this is, we're going through this entry list here. I've done my best to go up and down pit lane and meet every driver, but I've run out of fingers and toes a number of times. Trying to remember everyone who's in every car, it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but we'll get to everyone over the course of the weekend.
There's literally not enough time. We're lucky this weekend. We'll have a little bit later on in the weekend, Aaron Noonan and Ben Bargwanna in pit lane patrolling for us, and they will do some miles. Did you know this is the first time since the new, we still call it the new Bathurst pit building, it was built in the early 2000s, it's the first time every single garage has been used with racing cars in them. Usually there's TV studios and tyres and all sorts of stuff going on. Every single garage is full, and it is a great sight. This is a car that ended yesterday quickest. It's the Bridgestone Helensvale BMW. It's a car that's won here before. It's a great combination. They came within 1.4 seconds of winning the show last year and finished third in a ripper race, but Will Davison quickest yesterday, and this is a combination that you can never, ever rule out from being a contender at this event.
Experience, isn't it? And that counts for everything here at Mount Panorama, like that man on screen at the moment, Glenn Seaton. That car, that combination this weekend has been extremely strong so far. Of course, we're talking of the number 30, Jason Gomersall, Aaron Seaton and Todd Hazelwood this weekend. We'll touch on them throughout the course of this weekend as well. But going back to the Davison combination, when you've got 3 drivers in this race, it opens up your flexibility, and you're only allowed 1 pro driver as well. We know that man on screen, Will Davison, is the pro driver, but Tim Lay right next to him, I mean, he's almost just as quick, isn't it? And, I mean, Tim's had so much experience. The man from Orange, of course, the Lay family synonymous with selling cars in the central west of New South Wales, but they absolutely count down every single day to get to this race, because this race means everything for that team.
The Mayor of Orange turned 50 recently, Bard, so they're calling themselves the Old Age Racing Team now. They're all three of them over 40, but they are a powerful combination.
What's wrong with 50?
Nothing.
That's right.
Wrong. I wasn't insinuating anything.
Just check.
All right.
It's okay.
It's a great combo. Have a look at this. This is going to be the story of the weekend, isn't it?
Well, one of the things we saw during practice, I mean, it was very hard to understand where cars were in terms of their performance because of the traffic issues. So whilst we saw the Aaron Seaton Mustang very early in the session do a good time, it took a lot of guys to get clear laps to actually get there. So during this practice, this will be about running drivers through, making sure the car's right. There's a number of cars up on stands last night with some issues and starter motors being changed and gearboxes out and engines and things like that. So they'll run through it today. But when we see qualifying, the pace of these cars will really step up. And we're predicting some quick times. The Crick Campbell car on screen there, that's going to be one of the ones that we certainly think will go well. But we've got a red flag early. So this is one of the dramas. With all those cars out there, it doesn't take much. And that one actually looks like it's had contact with the wall. The front bar looked a little dislodged there, so it'd be disappointing if you've had a bit of a problem in that first couple of laps out, that's for sure.
It's Shane Nowicki behind the wheel of the Honda Integra Type R from AA Racing, South Australian squad that has two cars entered. They've got a BMW running as well this weekend. He's just parked on the right-hand side at Griffin's Bend, left-hand side, I should say, by the Hancock signage there on the exit of Turn 2. Had a lot of angle on the steering there. I wonder if there's some damage, if it's perhaps made contact, broken the steering. So the first red flag of this Bathurst 6-hour practice session. Remarkably, for all the drama we saw yesterday in the support categories, Bargs, the 6-hour sessions had one red flag across the two sessions. They were very, very well behaved. How much of that is down to everyone knowing that every single lap of this place is valuable this weekend?
Well, what it also comes down to is for this category here, 3 practice sessions gives everyone a chance to just take their time, get comfortable in the car. We've obviously got that issue there at the moment. I'm going to say that's probably a bit of a cold rear tyre situation up into Turn 2. It is very crisp out there. The track temp's very low. But to give these guys an opportunity over those 3 practice sessions to just get some comfortable laps, not pushing too hard. Some of the support categories, they're only getting 20 minutes, so they're out there and they have to get it lit. But this afternoon, when we see qualifying, that's when the real pressure will be on these cars. We'll see the pace of this Hankook tyre. Last year we had the MRF, obviously this year that big change, and we have seen some blown tyres up and down pit lane. Lots of camber on cars. Camber makes the car fast, but they're going to be trying to tune that back a little bit because it is a 6-hour event.
Quickest time yesterday at 2:21.8, which was almost half a second quicker than Will Davison's pole position time from 12 months ago. So there's already been an improvement. But if you go and survey some of the cars, there's throwing numbers of 19s and 18s around potentially. On that tyre, Cam Crick did basically a 2-minute 20-point dead here in November in an Australian Production Car Championship round. So they've got a little bit of info on the rubber, but Cam also told me that it was a horrific lap and he had seconds to find everywhere. So there's clearly lap time to burn for this Hankook tyre, but you only get 6 sets. 24 tyres over the course of the entire weekend from practice 1 to the end of the 6-hour. So you need to manage them. You cannot afford to cook them in practice and qualifying because you're going to need them over the course of the race as well.
And we saw a lot of people yesterday, in fact, roading sets of tyres as well to get that release wax mould off them so that the tyre, when you put it on the car, is going to be at its optimum pressures and temperatures as soon as you roll out. And that's going to be key, I think, tomorrow in the race. But, yeah, not many people were trying to put too many Ks on these tyres because you've got to manage them throughout the course this weekend. I like this particular setup, the Harding Performance 222 V-Dub Golf R. It's the Mark 8 version. That particular team ran the Mark 7.5 version here last year, and it was 4th outright, 1 in class. And with that extra performance for them this weekend with Ian Salteri and Jem Ussell, they expect to be right up towards the pointy end and possibly fighting for an outright podium.
The BMWs are famously challenging to drive, and especially when it's wet. And that team are hoping for wet weather this weekend, which they're not going to get because the forecast is amazing.
I did see one forecast that suggested late Sunday afternoon there could be a shower, but I mean, we'll wait and see. But yeah, certainly the four-wheel drive guys will be all-wheel drive will be hoping for that weather to come their way.
You're right. This is Bathurst. So race finish 17:15 plus a lap on Sunday afternoon, so it'll rain at about 5 p.m. Won't
Yeah,
it?
just
15 minutes
just
to go.
The last 15 minutes, we might get that shower. There'll be a few people praying for it, and others that clearly won't. So at the moment, it's beautiful out there. It is just absolutely amazing. Bathurst looks special. The track is looking fantastic, but it was that nice crisp morning that you get when you step out of the motel room at Bathurst, and you get that nice country air smell, and you can feel the energy around the mountain.
Just send the young bloke off for a run to get himself sharp for Trico Trans Am a little bit later on, or is he a bit more chilled out at that?
He's a bit. We're both very busy this weekend. We're wearing multiple jackets and hats and shirts. So between the Trans Am race car that Ben's running, obviously, and our duties here in the commentary box, we've got a fair bit going on. But yeah, we went for a bit of a walk this morning. It was nice and fresh down in town. You get that smell of the camping, the campfires, and
great vibe.
You just know you're at Bathurst. It's just exciting.
And how good does the campground look? So record camping sales for this event leading into it, significantly, like 20% up on last year. So it's becoming a bit of a destination event over Easter for people to come and visit this incredible part of the world. And Bathurst is, in autumn, absolutely stunning. The trees starting to change, but the weather crisp. 6 degrees overnight, 27 the top forecast today. It's about 13 degrees at the moment, but it gets quite warm in the afternoon. That track temperatures kind of come up and be at its peak around qualifying time a little bit later on. And we are looking for the top and bottom 50% of this field. And that means that the bottom 50% will still have a larger grid than any other endurance race at Bathurst. 36 cars trying to find track position to qualify, and then the top half will go out, and it'll be the same scenario. So even though you divide the field in half, getting your clear bit of racetrack to bang in that one special lap is going to be all important.
What I love about that shot there from the cameraman, he's walking up and down pit lane. We've got BMWs, Toyotas, we've got Commodores, we've got Falcons, we've got front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, V8, 4-cylinder, 5-cylinder, 6-cylinder turbo. So that combination right across the field is very exciting, and it will produce different lap times, different speed at different points, and will be certainly exciting to watch as the racing goes on. These Mustangs, I reckon they're half a shot this weekend. There's a bit of energy about them. This tyre definitely suits them against the BMWs, and I think that the performance we saw yesterday has certainly put them right in the hunt towards the end of the day.
It's becoming to be a very good package for that A2 class, isn't it? And we were just having a look at the combination of Bryce Fullwood and Trent White there in the number 18 machine. That's a good lineup, a good combination. We know Bryce Fullwood, of course, is experienced through Supercars, done very many laps around this particular place, and I expect them to go very strong this weekend. In fact, a debut all round for those guys in the Bathurst 6 Hour here for this weekend. So look to see them making their way up through the field, particularly tomorrow as well. But I think in that Class A2 battle, that's going to be really one of the classes we're going to have to watch, because there's so many Mustangs, and of course the Bowtie Camaro that's here this weekend, that we're certainly looking to shake up things here in the 6 hours tomorrow. Just looking at the 15 machine, Tony Pryor, Caleb Heffernan this weekend in the 5th gear motoring Toyota 86 that's come to a stop there on the inside of turn number 1. 2-car operation from 5th gear motoring this weekend, and they've had a tumultuous weekend already because they had to change a motor in their other car, the 55 machine, yesterday, Rich.
Yeah, I went down and spoke to Daniel Flanagan, and he said, I went for 5th and got 3rd, unfortunately, so buzzed the Boxer engine, and apparently they don't like 9,000 RPM. But they swapped an engine within 2.5 hours of practice 1 completing, and that was the 55 car that Daniel is sharing with his business partner, Dean Chapman and Chris Heininger. And they were quite strong, but that just passionate. And they're one of an innumerable number of combinations on this grid just here living the dream. That's the D.A. Campbell Transport Racing BMW. They're contenders. Young Slade Perrins on the front, bit of a guru in PR land at the moment, but he's got the team manager duties on. He works at Matt Stone Racing day to day on their Supercars program, and good buddies with Cameron Hill. Cam was on the headset for that car last year. He's newly married, so he's been directed to have Easter off this weekend. So Slade has stepped up to call some of the shots down there at a team that we feel like is going to be a genuine contender for a class, if not an outright victory here at Mount Panorama with that very, very fast BMW.
They were close to winning it last year, weren't they? They were within sight. They had a 15-second penalty at one point prior to that last pit stop, and then the car ultimately went into a limp mode when they were right in the fight, but they were up there yesterday. So was this car. Hadrian Morale, Tyler Mecklem, good performance for them yesterday. They've had a tough run here at Mount Panorama over the last few years. They had a heavy shunt last year just past the grate on the right-hand side, and then a heavy crash up here in November as well. They've done a really good job repairing that car. It's back now here this weekend, and they're hoping that really third time's a charm in many cases.
So 25 minutes to go in the session. Just waiting for news on how this is going to play out. Some cars have gone straight back to the fast lane to prepare to go back out. Some still waiting, parked at 45 degrees, as is the regulations in this race. And now they've gone green. So the Toyota's just going to end up parked there on the inside at Hell Corner for this one. So the session goes green. The D.A. Campbell Transport BMW will get back on the racetrack. Just trying to check who's behind the wheel of that car, but you've got to wait for the timing screen to tick over 3 pages before you can get to the ones at the bottom of the grid. So we're back to practice. Already half the session gone, so every lap now becomes even more critical, and no one has yet to set a representative lap time. And it takes 3.5 minutes to get all these cars out of the pit lane. So by the time the first car gets down to the bottom corner, they're still rolling up Mountain Straight. It is a remarkable sight this weekend.
It was pretty special, isn't it? Because I stood on this pit roof there at the end of practice 2 yesterday, just looking over all the cars, and it is quite a special sight. Good to have Ben Jezkowski here this weekend. He, back in the day, drove an F3 car up here at Mount Panorama and was very strong, turned some very quick laps, and has done a fair bit of racing overseas recently as well, driving for the Lamborghini, driven on some incredible racetracks, but this one is right up there, and good to see him making his Bathurst 6-hour debut this weekend.
He's off to the Indy 500 in a couple of weeks. Is young Ben. He's a great character in that HSV. First big rear-wheel drive V8 car he's driven both in production car racing and here at Mount Panorama. He's been racing a BMW M3 for a couple of years in Queensland State and a couple of national level stuff. And yes, it's back. The Camry has returned to the mountain. It was the hero car last year, Parks, and the blokes have come back for a second crack, and they've even gone more retro with their livery, and they've got the crochet tissue box on the parcel shelf rolling as well.
Yeah, the old crochet tissue box on the rear parcel shelf. And I mean, it's all about, for those guys, just trying to get that car to the finish line. It was a cult hero here last year, and it's good to have them back once again. Boys living the dream, and we're going to hear that phrase a lot here this weekend. The car's rolling down Conron Straight, just going through frame is the 500 entry, driven by Tyler Cheney, Alice Buckley and Hayden Hume. They were very strong in Class D yesterday in a trio of GR86 competitors, so a lot of experience behind the wheel in that Subaru BRZ. Expect them to go well here this weekend, and they were right up towards the top of the timesheets there in Class D yesterday. So drivers will now start what would be their first proper flying lap here in this practice session. Still just over 20 minutes remaining, and we might now start to get an idea as to where times will be. It was this session here last year where we actually saw the fastest times from the weekend, so lower track temperatures at the moment, and it will produce hopefully those quicker times as well, as the eyes from some of these teams and drivers looking to try and do a driver change as well and bolt some of their faster drivers maybe in towards the end of this session as well. So a bit of clear track for some of these cars out in front, and behind them it is going to be a line of traffic as they try and get through, as we've got the Camaro on screen there as well, just behind this Brock Giblin, Brendan Madden HSV. A good day for them, in fact, yesterday. They're the only HSV car in a group of bimmers there in Class X here this weekend, so looking to try and shake things up in that particular class, but a good job. Hopefully things go well for them here over the 6 hours tomorrow. Cars rolling through some of the glorious drone shots across the top of Mount Panorama as these cars now work their way through what would be their first flying lap here in this particular session. McPhillamy Park, we've seen over the years as well some daring moves, particularly when you've got the traffic. It's going to be a big talking point tomorrow, trying to manage the traffic, and you're going to have to take a little and then give a little throughout the course of the day as well, because trying to manage that in endurance racing is such a key and important factor. With this Camaro coming through screen, so last year, behind the wheel, Ryder Quinn had a terrible accident at the top of Mount Panorama on driver's right, destroyed the Mustang. They're back here this weekend in a Camaro that had never done any laps prior to the practice sessions yesterday, but what a strong lineup. Ryder Quinn, Tony Quinn and Grant Denyer, who was a late addition as well, and unfortunately, before these cars could even complete a flying lap, we've got a red flag again for the second time.
Man, this will be so frustrating for everyone up and down the field, just looking to get laps this morning on the mountain. Yeah, I went down and spoke to Harry and the team at Celtic Racing, and they paired up with Melbourne Performance Centre to build that car in basically 8 days. It was a shell just a week ago, and this is why we have another red flag BMW parked on driver's left on the run-up Mountain Straight, just by Mount Panorama Vineyards there on the run up the hill, and that's the number... Come back to you on that one. Number 2, BMW, and that has had...
contact somewhere.
Oh, yeah. So the right front's got damage, and the rear bar's hanging off as well.
Hard to get a gauge there. I know the 25 Mustang was going slowly as well, and it's Brett Osborne behind the wheel. We often see him much up here in a Holden HQ, so it's a bit different to see him in a BMW here this weekend, but there was a lot of camber on that right front and a little bit of body damage towards the rear of the car, as well as we're looking shots of the Braden Wilmington machine. Of course, from Sydney, these boys. And I was talking to Braden, in fact, in the pits before this practice session, and they were quite confident with their day yesterday. They were they were pretty hard on the right front tyre, though, in these new Hankook tyres here this weekend. And what a great combination, because he'll share that car with John Bowe this weekend as well. And John's been, such a good family friend for the Wilmingtons over the past couple of years as well. And they're just going to push that car back into that 45-degree angle before hopefully we might get back to some sort of resumption at least, of play in this third practice session. So we only had the one red flag yesterday, but we've had a bit of a frustrating session here at the moment. We've still got 17 minutes left on the clock in this third and final practice session before we go to a two-part qualifying system a little bit later on this afternoon as well, which will be the lower 50%, and then we'll have the upper 50% heading out after them.
Yeah, it looks like that incident there on Mountain Straight. I mean, obviously they've just all come out of pit lane. There's cars leaving. There may have been a bit of a contact, obviously, with a faster car. It's certainly done some damage to that BMW, hadn't it? And that's a sad way to start your Saturday here at the 6 hour. We spoke about it earlier. The teams that just want to get through these practice sessions nice and clean, take their time, get their drivers comfortable and build up. The last thing you need on the Saturday morning is damage to your race car. I've learnt that lesson once time in my life, let me tell you, and it hurts hard. So you can see there's grass, there's everything happening. We've even got some tyre marks. So we've got 2 cars there. We can see there's a car halfway up Mountain Straight backwards in the fence, and then the BMW that we saw on screen right on the crest. So clearly faster car, slower car situation, which has not ended up very well for 2 of the teams out there.
So that's one of the BMWs, and I think that's the 24 Garth Walden racing car, the father and son Auld combination with Tyler Everingham. That was a car that was on the front row here last year and was a genuine contender, and I wonder if that's been a traffic-related incident going up Mountain Straight. It'd be the only thing that would explain a basically straight line contact heading up the hill.
It almost gives you a flashback to the 2006 Bathurst 1000 with Mark Scaife and Jack Perkins on that day.
Yeah, I think Scaife was starting to have saw that then and went, oh my God, what's happening here? I've seen this before.
Deja vu strikes a couple of years later.
Deja vu.
So yeah, I think, it's hard to pick up the number there, but it certainly looked like the 24 machine from that front end, and it hasn't come back into the lane as of yet either. Michael Auld, we saw, what it looks on timing, was actually behind the wheel at the time.
Michael was very excited to team up with his son Hayden, who's 21 at the end of the year, who's been running in state level racing. So confirming car 2 with Brett Osborne, the HQ and Aussie Racing Cars racer. Osborne's Transport, that's one of the AA Racing entries, one of 2 cars. And then the 24 BMW from GWR Australia, one of 5 cars from that fleet. Michael Auld, Tyler Everingham and Hayden Auld. And that was one of the cars that looked to be a massive contender, and now I wonder if it's one of the cars that's a contender for a massive Bathurst rebuild, because there was a lot of damage. The front end of that car had been punched in hard. They do have a spare car here, GWR. In fact, they've got a couple buried up the back of the paddock. So last count, somewhere 20 plus spare vehicles or donor cars parked, scattered around Mount Panorama.
We were joking last night over a beverage that we should actually invent the
donor car Grand Prix, wasn't
correct.
it? Yeah.
There's that many of them here this weekend.
Yeah, certainly up in the camping area, there's Camrys, there's Toyota 86s, I've even seen one Mercedes-Benz on a trailer with doors missing and things. So when you walk around, you can see how prepared these teams are. But it's damage like this that, and even as a production car, they're not like people who are familiar with supercars being repaired after crashes like this. They unbolt parts, they bolt parts on. These production-based cars, the roll cages are integral in the body. They're actually a car that started life as a road car, and some of them are brand new road cars. So to repair major damage is a very challenging thing to do here at Bathurst, particularly if you've got chassis rails and things like that bent. To turn that round in the short period of time, hopefully these cars aren't too bad and they can get them back out on the circuit.
And if one car is forced to withdraw or more, we do have one hot reserve, a car on hot standby. It's a Ford Mustang that actually withdrew to allow their team car, a Toyota 86, with young Alice Buckley and a few others behind the wheel to drive. They are ready and waiting to go if a car withdraws, but they have to withdraw officially before that reserve can be activated, as the Tour de Cure A45 AMG is down at GWR and getting looked at. Mike Sheargold getting his original band back together and supporting a really good cause. They've actually got I don't know if they're Peloton bikes or whatever they are, down at the back of the garage. So they're training in between sessions. They're on the bikes out the back,
Really?
cutting some weight. Yeah, absolutely. Getting ready for the tour.
That's very serious.
Probably using something like Zwift or something like that.
Yeah, I would have thought so, mate.
Yep.
You'd wonder if they'd program Mount Panorama in and ride laps.
I've done that, Paul. That
So have
hurt.
I.
What, riding a lap of Mount Panorama?
Yep.
Done it a few times. Run around here once. That was enough for me. But the push bike was a good one around here.
It's a 10% gradient basically all the way from Griffin's Bed to the top there at Reed Park. Trust me, on a road bike,
It hurts.
oh, it absolutely stings.
I did a track walk once and that was enough.
So do we think that reserve car that's now out the back warming up and the drivers
Yeah,
are
I
starting to
reckon
get
they
their
might
driving
have fired
suits
it
on?
up, get some oil running through.
They've just dragged it off the trailer. They've just seen what's happened. In fact, I thought I saw someone standing next to the track with a big rock. What was that all about? I wasn't sure whether they were trying to find a way to get themselves into the field. But to come to a 6-hour event like this, a production car event, and have reserves, reminds me of the old days of the Bathurst when they were lining up at pit lane, waiting to see if they could get a start. But yeah, clearly a little bit different these days, but certainly it's exciting to have a field of this capacity.
Yeah, so more than 80 official entries at the close of play when entries closed a month ago, and then even with withdrawals and the reserve lift, there were still more wanting to race than there were available grid spots. The track density, the maximum amount of cars that you can run here are 72. As the Hyundai Excels look ahead towards their next session. They'll be the next cab off the ranks here at Mount Panorama. Great support program, Australian Prototype Series and New South Wales Production Sports or Sports Car Championship will be here. Oh man, that
is a lot of damage.
BMW has had a huge whack.
Front and rear by the looks of it too. So yeah, looking at the marks on the track there, it's hard to predict exactly what's gone wrong, but clearly those BMWs are much faster in a straight line. Those big cars, those big M3s, M4s, M2s, they've got some serious straight line speed, and it doesn't take much for a bit of contact, and we've got a drama.
All right, while we're under a red flag here in practice 3 for the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6-hour, there's some great names in this field and some rising superstars of supercars as well. One of them is Thomas Randall, and Aaron Noonan sat down with him earlier in the weekend.
Thomas Randall, it's a weekend off from supercars and you're at a racetrack driving a race car. Bathurst does this to us, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I mean, why wouldn't you want to race at Bathurst? And it's such an awesome event here, 6-hour, and I mean, there's 72 cars on the grid. It's just insane. You've got a mix of all different manufacturers, and you know, the last couple of years I've been doing it with the Cabbage Brothers through Garth Walden Racing, and it's just so much fun, and I really enjoy it.
It's a different vibe, isn't it? I mean, we come here in October, It's a race of history, it's high stakes, it's high pressure. Everyone's out to have a great weekend and perform well. But there's a really different vibe. It's really fun.
It is definitely fun, and from my point of view, like you just touched on, Noons, when you do the Bathurst 1000 or even the 12-hour, there is a lot of pressure, and not to say that there's not pressure here to perform, but it's a lot more relaxed from my side of things, and I just have a really good time with not only the Cabbage boys, but everyone at Garth Walden Racing and just all the people that are here. And it's that atmosphere where you can just sort of walk into different people's garage, and if you need a bit of help, someone will come out and give you a hand. To get the chance to race here for everyone, and get to race against guys like me, supercar drivers, and there's a big mix of ability out there, which is cool. Different mix of cars, all the different classes, and I think that's what makes this event so special.
The boys have done a very good job for quite a few years now in raising money for cancer. I mean, they've raised over $200,000, which is an amazing thing, and that's part of what they do this for.
It's extremely impressive, and obviously that's something quite close to my heart as well. And it was, I think 9 years ago, Ben's wife Tula was diagnosed with breast cancer, and they started the Race for a Cure breast cancer trials in 2017. And like you said, they've raised over $250,000. So I think it's fantastic, and we have such a great platform in motor racing to spread awareness and spread these amazing and important messages.
So there's a bunch of supercar drivers in this event this weekend, and most of them are in BMWs and could win the race outright. Is there like this private fight for the weekend? You're not in your supercars, but you're all still fighting one another?
I think probably we all think that in the back of our heads, but I mean, I just want to win this race, and we came so close last year. I've been reminded like 10 times already. It was 1.2 seconds or something, and Garth keeps reminding us, and JP, our engineer, John Paul. I mean, it'd be so special for not only Garth and the team, but the Cabbage boys. They've been having a crack at this race for a few years.
So is this the race that you have to hold your cards, hold your cards, hold your cards, half an hour to go, play your cards, all in, you've got to just save it all up. You can't thrash these things all day.
No, you can't. With these being production cars, they have their own little quirks. They like to do their lip modes or whatever, so you've got to respect them, you've got to look after them, and hopefully they reward you in that back end of the race.
Well, we wish you, Ben and Michael, all the very best. The car, I got to say, stands out, that's for sure. We will definitely be able to see the number 92 BMW on the track over the course of this weekend. We hope 2025 does you very well here at the mountain.
Thanks, Noons. Hope everyone enjoys it at home as well.
He's one of the great characters in our sport. He's going to be, annoyingly, a superstar broadcaster when he gives up the driving thing, but right now he's doing a very nice job of driving as well. Thomas Randall drives the Castrol car for Tickford Racing in the Supercars Championship, and he's back with the Cabbages once again, Brian, in the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour, and this is a formidable combination that came within 1.2 seconds of winning the big race last year, and they're going, all we need to do is find 2 seconds. Over 6 hours, if we find 2 seconds, we feel like we'll be in with a shot.
Sounds easy enough, doesn't it? But everyone else finds time over the 12 months leading up to this event as well. And they had a bit of a fraught day yesterday. They had so many issues with the car going into a limp mode. They even had the car out of the racetrack basically once the circuit was shut last night, trying to sort the issues out, and hopefully they've got everything sorted, but they haven't really had much track time in order to try and iron out those bugs in this particular session. We are still counting down. We've got just over 6 minutes still remaining here, and sure, if we'll get back out onto the racetrack, considering that old car was only just getting put back onto the flatbed truck there a moment ago, and no one really lining up on pit exit and head back out to the racetrack.
These are the perils of Mount Panorama, big fields and lots of challenges and drivers from all walks of life. One of the several Mercedes A45 AMGs in the end. Just got behind the wheel, and Randall car too, so they'll be looking good. That's the Braden Wilmington Motorsport car. Happy birthday to John Bow for yesterday, the legend of the sport. Will be celebrating this weekend. He's back in a blue oval product and loving his time, and Braden's put together a really good outfit. His dad, Gary, is in the paddock too. It's cool to see there. David Murphy sharing the driving. David's got very cool supercars in his collection.
He does.
Good to see, but drives them well and has raced in Super 3 and Super 2.
39 years in a row, that man, John Bow, has been driving up here at Mount Panorama. There we go, the thumbs up. Happy birthday, mate. Good on you for obviously earlier on in the week. But that's a good lineup. And obviously the Bauer family's been very close with the Wilmingtons over the years as well. Of course, Gary Wilmington, one of the great privateer races from back in the day during the 1000 as well. So it's good to have them back here this weekend. And for young Braden, they've been doing so much testing, of course, leading up to this weekend. How's the juice, Jaden Ojeda? He's been synonymous with this event for the last few years, of course, put the car basically on the grass to win the race here in 2023, and last year, that last stint from him was just incredible. And he's one of those plug-and-play type drivers, hasn't done many laps this weekend. He will steer this car in qualifying, and he is going to be very, very strong.
And now on the Mercedes AMG roster too, as his very nice jumper says, it's a very Jaden Ojeda style jumper, isn't it, if you know the juice. But yeah, on that Mercedes AMG roster, was here in the 12 hour in a GT3 car and flying around the world doing a couple of their key races. There's got a lot of activity down there in the lane as people get ready, and confirmation that this session will not resume. As the guys down there in the baby class cars get some love.
That is going to be an incredible battle all weekend, isn't it, in the E-Class? Because we saw last year some bump and runs even for Class Lead and Class E. And that is going to be a tremendous battle, because that car is looking to win Class E for the third straight year. And a bit of history, because no one's ever won their class for 3 straight years in the 6 hour.
And I asked them the other day, why have you got a teddy bear? And they're like, why not? It's Bathurst, it's fun, it's Easter, let's enjoy it. So practice 3 is done, and really no representative lap times set. So from that, we look ahead to qualifying for the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hours. Still to come this morning, though, on our live stream, the Hyundai Excels will be up next. Massive field, lots of young stars there. Trico Trans Am qualifying as well. 2 sessions to set the grid with 40 cars running, and then a little bit later on, qualifying for the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hour. So we are underway and racing in the Circuit XLs, and already amazing stuff as they go to the top of Mount Panorama. Richard Craill, Brian Van Wacker, the great Gary O'Brien with us side by side up to Reed Park. Car number 1 is Ethan Grigg-Galt. He was on pole, but it's bump drafting across the top of the mountain. Early laps in a 25-minute time race. They still side by side across the top of the hill to McPhillamy Park. Twining's in there. Collins was vying for the lead, but Grigg-Galt will sweep in front as they get across the top. Tompkins there with a couple of wheels dropped off on the outside, and a massive field in what has become one of the great driver development categories in Australia. They get themselves sorted. There's dramas and there's action and there's contact and there's a car parked in the Gazoo Racing Dipper. Wow, busy start to this Excel race, gentlemen. Good morning.
Harry Tompkins there, the man stopped on driver's left with another car just parked in behind. I thought the Daytona 500 was in February, not right now here at Mount Panorama. Wild stuff going on for that first lap, and with a car parked there in a precarious position, I dare say we might see the intervention of a safety car, but it's the run towards that safety car that's going to be key, because Ethan Grigg-Galt is leading this field down the hill here for the first time. Drafting is going to be key in this race, Gary O'Brien.
Well, you talked about it all through yesterday's qualifying, that we knew that where you had to be on the last lap was priority, but unfortunately for Harry Tompkins, it's not going to happen. 51 cars started, there was 51 entered, perfect numbers, but unfortunately now we've got at least one out.
So you can just see there, the incident already happened before it came into the frame there, but unfortunately Harry, it looked like there might have been a bit of action in front of him as well, but just had nowhere to go in the end, and we do go safety car for this 30-minute race, and that time starts as soon as they leave the marshalling area to get to the start-finish line. So 22 minutes remaining, but unfortunately for Harry Tompkins, the man known as Swaggy H, will go no further here in this particular race.
And already car 92 got a 5-second penalty, obviously for a start line infringement. One to watch out for, Rio Campbell. They had a gearbox issue yesterday, had to change it overnight and have to start well outside the top 10, but look for them to make a bit of a charge.
So 51 cars were on the entry list prior to this weekend. Pretty well all states represented across Australia. We had 3 from New South Wales, 19 in fact from Queensland, so a heavy representation there. And the man that's leading the way so far is the 3-time and reigning Nationals champion in this particular class, Ethan Grigg-Galt. He's been very strong up here at Mount Panorama. Good to see that Harry Tompkins is A-OK jumping out at that car, but he will be frustrated because he had such a good qualifying session yesterday right up towards the front, but he's going to have his work cut out for him now for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, that's going to cut into this race. Unfortunately, they had as many as 5 safety cars or red flag situations yesterday in the 2 practice sessions. Didn't get a solid lap in, all told, but qualifying went reasonably well. They got some laps in, and unfortunately they then did have another safety car right towards the end of it.
He's a great character, really funny guy. Loves his social media, and he does some very funny videos if you ever get the chance to look at him. And as I mentioned, he's got a bit of a character about him being Swaggy H as well. So frustrating to see. Great drone shots here at Mount Panorama on this Easter Saturday, of course, warming up to what's going to be a very big weekend. We did see the yellow flags up for some of those cars further in front, and I reckon just Harry got caught with that and nowhere to go. There was a lot of rear brake locking heading down into the dipper as well, but tough to get an understanding as to what happened there for Harry.
Is there another car parked in front of them there too, by the look of it? Is that Sullivan in the 45?
So a lot going on in these early stages. I reckon that might be the 55 of Tyler Collins that's come to a stop as well, just on the right-hand side of the frame there. And Tyler, a very strong young driver as well. He was basically winner of the Dunlop Destiny program with this particular field as well. It was a bit of a shootout day, and there it is, the 55 of Tyler Collins. So he won a shootout basically at Norwell Motorplex, and great young kid doing a little bit with the Toyota Gazoo Racing Australia Scholarship Series. He won that drive basically through the Dunlop Destiny program they run at Norwell Motorplex. And yeah, great young kid, but unfortunately not the way he wanted this particular race to go, because he was a great performance yesterday as well from Tyler. He was position number 2, and I reckon when we saw originally that yellow flag coming out on drivers left, it might have been for him having a moment and then Harry just having nowhere to go further in behind.
Yeah, and then I think Tyler was caught in behind Harry when he spun there as well.
So many great names in amongst the field here this weekend as well when we speak of the Excels, because it's really now the proving ground for a lot of these youngsters before stepping up further into their motorsport careers. And some synonymous names with Aussie rules football. Probably AFL isn't quite as big in New South Wales as it is in Victoria, although it's growing quite a strong allegiance at the moment in Sydney. But this name might stick out for you, Buckley. Ace Buckley here this weekend, the son of Collingwood great Nathan Buckley. And I'll continue that as well because we've got Jack Johnson here this weekend too, the son of Western Bulldogs legend Brad Johnson. Great to have some of those synonymous names here this weekend with us, Gary.
Well, it comes from all sorts of sports. Over the years, we've had various names come from various different sports, and even going back to the likes of Jack Elsgood, who played rugby league for Manly and the Roosters. Yeah. He came through in the youth system. He probably would have done these if they were around in those days.
It's funny, Ace said yesterday his first impressions of the place, he goes, it was quite tricky only because of the traffic. He goes, but the place isn't actually scary. And I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Like, this is Mount Panorama we're talking about. It shows the confidence, though, in a young driver and just that temptation to go fast, hit every apex. And I love that about a young driver.
So this race does continue under safety car. One to keep an eye out is car 54, Brett Parrish. He's almost a veteran of this category. He's been around in it so long.
Well, he could probably get a job as part of the Hyundai Excel stunt driving team, because at this particular corner here last year, he had the thing right up on two wheels because he got that curb, and that curb is very large. The last quarter there at Murray's Corner, some great shots. I think Nathan Wong got the shots of that car right up on two wheels. You've never seen an Excel like it. Somehow didn't roll.
It should have went over, shouldn't it?
I can't believe how he actually kept it on all four wheels, but he got away with it, and that was one of the great shots, which is still doing the rounds, I think, on our social media channels back in 6 Hour HR. And it was just awesome, which is good to see. He made a bit of a name for himself for that last year.
So looking back through some of the others in there, just trying to see who else may have had some issues in qualifying that obviously should be a little bit further up the field than where they are. As I said, Rio Campbell had the gearbox issue. He's currently 16th, so he's picked up a few spots already.
So as it runs currently at the moment, hopefully we will get a resumption of play here. It's Ethan Grigalt from Joel Johnson, Jake Burton, Aaron Oliver and Will Twining so far, the top 5 on the road. And it's going to be a big year for Excels, because when you look at how it's run across Australia, so many different states and territories have a wide variety of cars that continue to compete, and it's really a great opportunity, as we mentioned, for some of those youngsters to join, because it's a cost-effective way of going racing, and for a lot of them, they step out of karts, go into an Excel. It's that first opportunity where they've got a roof over their head and they get to learn a little bit about setup as well.
There's actually people that have come out of this category that have gone back to it for this weekend just to get some mileage here, so they might come back here in Toyotas or something else later in the year.
And some great names have won up here at Mount Panorama in the Excels. Ethan Grigalt was very strong here last year. Ryan Casher, who we know now stepping up into Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge this year. Cam Wilson, Asher Johnston over the years as well, and Cam Bartholomew too. They really do hone their skills in an Excel before going on to further improve their racing development. But Ethan Grigalt, when you look at how strong he's been over the last couple of years in this particular class, he will go to the Nationals in August at Phillip Island, and you would suspect be very strong once again.
He's certainly been the one to beat in the category for a while. You would think that he would have a walk-up start into another category.
He runs the number 1 on the car this year as well, so looking forward to seeing if he can try and defend that title a little bit later on in the year. Won the Aussie Driver Search back in 2018 and does hold the race lap record here as well at 251.6, probably aided by a bit of draft that we often see. I've been looking at some onboards prior to this weekend, and I mean, they're like, which we saw at the opening lap, 2 wide across the top of Mount Panorama. You don't often see that, but they're easily...
Not in rows of 2 anyway.
No, they're easily 3 wide going down Conrod Straight. It's often that case of where do you want to be on that final lap, because not often do we often say it. You probably don't want to be in the lead heading down Conrod Straight on that final lap, and hopefully if we get a resumption of play here, we can see that try and battle themselves out and get that opportunity for what would be a fantastic finish here. And what I love about these cars as well, Gary, is that these youngsters are great on social media. They really do promote themselves well, but their cars always look fantastic. They're beautifully presented. So many great liveries here this weekend, and it's a great celebration, I think, here at Mount Panorama of Excel Racing, because they all get to combine here at Mount Panorama, all the states, all the territories, and go racing at a place where a lot of these youngsters, it's the first trip here to Mount Panorama, as the safety car going very slowly down Conrod Straight. So I reckon it's just trying to balk, buy us a bit of time, and hopefully we might go green on this particular lap.
Yeah, and they've got a great media presence too. They all know how to talk, and they're quite willing to have a chat because they want to get their names out there all the time.
We heard from Thomas Randall a short time ago as he sat down with Aaron Noonan. Very strong combination here this weekend with Michael Cavich and Ben Cavich. They had some issues, like we mentioned earlier on, with this car yesterday. They didn't really get much time to see if they were able to rectify those changes at the end of that particular session. In fact, I've just been shown a text message from Richard Crowell sitting on my left that Thomas Randall has messaged in saying, well, I think we finally fixed our issues, I think, going into qualifying, having not yet completed a lap. So that sounds about right here at Mount Panorama. As we've got confirmation, lights are out, getting set for a restart this time by. Still 12 and a half minutes left on the clock, and fingers crossed we can go green to the end here, Gary.
Yeah, hang on to your hats, fellas. I think this is going to be quite wild in the first couple of laps at least. And I dare say it'll probably go to the end as well.
If that first lap was anything to go by, we are set for an absolute barn burner here. And look at some of these drivers. They are right on the rear bar, if not maybe at some points pushing and touching, getting ready for this restart here, because you don't want to miss the jump. You don't want to give away any possibility of making a pass on this first lap of the restart. Green flags are showing, so we won't be too far away from the leader. Ethan Grigault stepping on that loud pedal and trying to squeak away from the field as well. He's still being very gentlemanly here as they lead down into Murray's corner. We wait patiently.
Everyone does their role accurately.
Still waiting. Jeez, Ethan's going to lead.
He'll go halfway through the corner. There he goes.
And he's got a nice jump as well. He's already probably put a car between himself and the rest of this field as the enormous field rolls down the Hi-Tec Oils pit straight, and we go green once again. Oliver already having to go on the defensive there on the left-hand side of the road as Burton didn't get a great restart. He's going to lose out in all this as well. Was third at the restart, but already goes back to position 5. Cars off the road as they head up Mountain Straight once again.
First two have actually got a good break there. It's almost half a second. So they head up Mountain Straight the first time. Oliver into third, Twining, Burton, Buckley, Wood. That's John Wood, Jackson Faulkner, Brett Parrish in 9th, Cooper in 10th.
Watch Ace Buckley a little bit further on through the field. He's been very strong, competing in New South Wales, dominated there last round, and already now starting to make his way through the field for his first trip up to here at Mount Panorama. Geez, some of these cars are really dicing on the outside of the racetrack. It's not often that you see cars on the outside there at Griffin's Bend and get away with it, because that's where the marbles often sit. The steepest point of the racetrack right here at Cutting.
Look at the congestion back in the field. And to think that these guys are way back in, somewhere anywhere in 36, 37, 38 position, and they're fighting like they're out to win the race.
They're fighting for the World Championship of Excel Racing, aren't they? As your leaders have actually pulled away. So Ethan Grigault and Johnson here have put over just a second from everyone else right now, and that's going to be key to try and break that slipstream between themselves and the rest of the field. Vital that they try and pull away out in front here. This is where we saw the carnage a moment ago on the initial start, going down into the S's. You've got to be clean and green. Just look at Ethan Grigault locking up the rear tyres of that car as he drifts his way down the mountain. A little bit of oil slick dry there being cleaned up from what we saw a moment ago with Harry Tompkins' car. Stopped there at that particular point of the racetrack, but so far so good as they head across the top of Mount Panorama.
Well, we got this battle for the lead. Grigault, the more experienced than Johnson is, and they've already got away, and Johnson's showing maturity in this class that you get through experience rather than not experience.
Gee, some of them were very close there to the wall, the exit of Forest Elbow, and here comes Johnson now pulling out of the draft. And if these two are actually smart, they can work with each other here to try and pull away from the rest of the field, because if these two hold each other up too much, they're going to be caught within the rest of the field here, and look at them continuing to fight on through.
We've got Oliver in third, but just been given a 5-second penalty in this scrap that he's trying to hold on ahead of Twining and Burton. The only thing, he's actually managed to slip away. Now it's Twining who's got ahead of him.
And when you think about it, that's going to drop him well outside the top 10 if he doesn't get that 5-second penalty removed, which you would dare say he probably wouldn't. And look at this, we spoke about the prospect of if these two out in front continue to fight, they'll get caught by everyone else. Well, Twining, he was the fastest car in that restart there, and he's closed the margin down now within a second off the back of Ethan Green-Gault. So if he can just catch that toe up here at Mountain Straight, it might be half a chance then of making this a 3-car fight for your lead out in front.
There's all sorts of dust and dirt flying at turn number 1, Hill Corner, as they come through there. But as you said, Twining has negated that gap a little bit out of the corner, but then lost a little bit on the straight. Obviously not getting any help from the two in front of him.
He's got no drafting partners, no one to dance with at the moment, heading up the hill once again. Looking at Jack Wood there, the beautifully presented number 15 car just in behind Ace Buckley, who is probably still man of the match performance here this weekend. Burton in front, Oliver in position number 4. That's that little battle pack for that 4th spot at the moment. But still these two out in front, nose to tail. Ethan Green-Gault, we fear, will probably just sit behind here across the top Mount Panorama and maybe work that draft again heading down Conrod Straight. They're starting to eke that margin out to over a second again now from Twining in third.
Buckley has moved ahead of Oliver for position 4 as well. So that's the battle going on behind the third place Twining, who's actually got away from him.
Just the left rear tyre of Johnson off the ground, having a holiday there through McPhillamy Park. It's great to see. Now look at him almost sideways going down the hill. Debris flags are out for that oil that was down on driver's left here. Look how hard they have to drive these cars. They're trapped from the cutting all the way through to the entry point there into the S's.
1.1 second covers that group that are fighting for 4th spot. 5 cars.
It's good, isn't it? And this is what we've come to expect here as Buckley also got that left rear. In fact, he was very close to the wall then on the exit of Forest Elbow, and he might be under attack here now from the cars in behind. So Oliver, Burton, Wood and Fortney now you can throw into that fight as well. Here comes Oliver, he's got that 5-second penalty, moves out of the draft here, and Buckley's going to be absolutely swamped by the time they get down into the chase.
Like Burton tried to pull out of there as well, but then tucked back in.
And he darts, weaves his way through, doesn't go down the inside though. And look at Wood showing the nose in behind Burton there. What a great fight this is for position number 4. In the meantime, Twining is pulling away. He's on his own with no dancing partners, and here's your leaders with just under 6 minutes to go.
Go through Murray's Corner to complete their 5th lap. See that Matt Boylan, who's doing double Qs this weekend, is into position 9 ahead of Bolts, Taylor, Hodge, Parrish back to 13. So he's been shuffled well down the order.
Field once again, some of them putting wheels off the exit of the racetrack there in the entry, rather the exit I should say, of Hell Corner, and still your leaders out in front pulling away. You got to feel for Twining here, because if he had someone to draft with, you feel like he's probably got one of the strongest cars in the field right now. Buckley, a little further back looking towards the outside. Likewise for Ethan Green-Gault. He made a mistake there on the entry, and that's cost him a lot of time. And you can see that margin has now blown out between first and second. So Ethan Green-Gault now, he's got to have a really good run across the top of Mount Panorama here. Otherwise, he's going to lose that draft, that he might have to fall back into the clutches of Twining. Hope they work each other in order to re-catch Johnson out in front. Oh, contact. Serves him, and there's going to be carnage here. There's going to be carnage. Burton, unfortunately, turned around, would know where to go. And hopefully all these cars stay on driver's right. The marshals will be waving the flags there at the point before this. There was a tag in the rear, served him towards the right. Thankfully not too much contact, but they're going to lose an enormous amount of time and go right towards the back of the train.
You have to feel sorry for Woody in that little incident. nowhere to go. Lucky that he's got away with it.
So here's the replay. And they just come out of the cutting and watch the tag in the rear here, right there, through the right hand. It was a fairly sizable hit and then comes back across the road. And like you mentioned, Gary, absolutely nowhere to go for Young Wood. Small contact, thankfully, with the wall on the left-hand side, but that has destroyed their race.
Still green. So fortunately, he might be lucky enough to get it backed out and moving again.
I'll just go and check this.
So the margin now from first back to second, incidentally, has gone to 2 seconds. You can just see the right-hand side of shot. They've now cleared that area, which is good to see. So it will stay under green flag conditions here with 3.5 minutes remaining in this race. So it's Johnson now leading from Ethan Griggold, Twining position number 3 from Oliver. Buckley has made up some spots throughout all that as well to complete the top 5. So great shots around Mount Panorama here on this Easter Saturday. Let's go down into the paddock in amongst the pits with Aaron Noonan.
Well, Brian, we're on the countdown as the Hyundais sort themselves out to eliminate one another. Trico Trans Am not too far away, qualifying for round 2 of the series. And we're going to keep a watchful brief here in pit lane because of that drama in the last practice session for the 6 hour between the number 2 BMW and the number 24 BMW and the drama with the Honda. We're going to keep an eye on that car that's waiting in the garages. The number 50 Mustang is ready and waiting to go. They must run today to be able to race tomorrow. So they need a car to officially withdraw from the race to get that car in and keep us at 72 cars for tomorrow. These Hyundais are going to be close. You better pick this up.
Thanks for that, Aaron. Yeah, good update. We'll keep you updated on that news as the day progresses on the Super Subs in the number 50 Mustang. Will they possibly get an entry into this weekend's Hi-Tec Goals Bathurst 6 hour? We'll keep you abreast. Look at this, Buckley on the grass, heading up into Griffin's Bend in what is now the battle for positions 4, 5 and 6.
So it was a battle of 5, it's now a battle of 3.
After the contact that we saw out of the cutting on the previous lap. So it's Johnson from Ethan Griggold, the margin 1.8 seconds. You feel like if Johnson can keep this car underneath him, he'll probably hold on to this race win at the moment. He's broken that draft and pulled away. Faulkner was very wide then through the cutting that time by and has left an opportunity now for those in behind to possibly try and make their way through, but it's really single file formation across the top of the Mount Panorama. Apart from that opening lap that we saw it 2 by 2 by 2, I dare say we'll see that again later on this afternoon once these XLs head back out onto the racetrack.
Yeah, car 70 will drop out of this in the final results, but like a true racer, we'll keep fighting, and the further he gets up the field, the less positions he may lose as a result.
Correct.
Currently, I think he's somewhere in the neighbourhood of, we'll drop to about 10th, 11th maybe. So he might not lose too much out of all this.
I reckon Ethan Griggold's had a moment across the top as well, because all of a sudden what was just over a second has now got back to 3.1 seconds now. So Johnson, the clear leader out in front.
And Twining getting right close behind Griggold at this stage as well. So I think you might be right. I think he may have had a moment.
What would be the battle then for position number 2 on the racetrack. So Oliver still trying to find a way past those in front. Buckley has now lost the draft as well, and you can see just the bottom of that shot. Ethan Griggold with the rears locked up heading into the left-hander there at the chase is now right in amongst the clutches of Twining in behind him. So Faulkner here holding off Oliver, but Oliver is going to drop through this field, so he's got a 5-second penalty. It's probably only going to put him back to behind Buckley at the moment on that rough position number 7. So the way that this race has actually played out, he's not going to lose too much time. So he's lucky that this race has stayed green towards the end as Buckley pushing hard and off the exit of the racetrack, then going down the Hi-Tec Oils pit straight. He's fighting for what it's worth right now as we're entering into the last portion of this race.
Another great battle going on behind them. Boylett, Taylor and Volts. And a 4th car there just dropped off the screen for me. Taylor.
Hodge there looking towards the inside, that being Tice Hodge here for this weekend. Of course, Tice, the Victorian State Champion, made his Excel debut back in 2023, and he is going to be one to watch this afternoon. He got probably balked a little bit in terms of track position for qualifying, and he's making his way up through this field nicely as this fight continues here across through Griffin's Bend and Ethan Grigalt now clearly now in a fight for position number 2. This race has not panned out the way that he would have wanted. That mistake that he made through Griffin's Bend has really cost him a lot of time here and really threw away that potential of a race win with that drafting battle that he had with Johnson out in front.
We potentially, on our last lap, we've gone over the time at this stage. So Johnson leads by 3.4 seconds. And that is quite a margin for Excels. They're not normally that far apart.
It is quite a margin, isn't it? Absolutely. We don't often see that here at Mount Panorama. But at the moment, that's the way that it's played out, and it's certainly working in the favour of your race leader of Joel Johnson. Ethan Grigalt crossed up there through the turning point, heading down into the SS. He is pushing hard right now because he wants to try and, oh, goodness me, he was so close to that inside wall, the turning point there at the dipper. I thought then for a moment he was going to career into the left-hand side. He is pushing for all it's worth. Look at that. The rear end is all locked up sideways into Forest Elbow. Can he build that margin between himself and Twining? Because Twining is going to get the draft and try and slingshot his way past. And what a sorry sight for Wood after getting caught up with that contacts on the exit of the cutting. Unfortunately, has cut down a tyre, and a case of what could have been for him in the fight for the top 5.
Yeah, he was the unfortunate victim, wasn't he? He wasn't his incident to start with, but he unfortunately got caught in it.
Ethan Grigalt holding on here at the moment. The car is dancing its way, locking up. Look at that. He's got the hands going all through the cockpit to try and get that thing turned in. Twining might be half a chance to throw it down the inside here at the last corner, but I reckon he might be a little bit too far back, although as I say that, he's closing in, but still probably a car width away of where he wants to be. Johnson, your race leader out in front, doing a great job. Last lap now, a few competitors this time by. So can Ethan Grigalt holding on. Now, the more that these two fight, the more they're going to bring Faulkner and Oliver back into the fight as well. Buckley, he's clean in position number 6. He's not going to be in the fight either, but this is what we've got to watch for, the fight for position number 2. Incidentally, they've passed the margin ever so slightly. It's down to 2.3 seconds now between first and second.
Yeah, the way that Ethan Grigalt car is bouncing around at the back, he's having some dramas under brakes. He's desperately trying to stay ahead of Twining, and Twining will see this and can use it to his advantage.
If they could really work the toe on this lap, and dare I say updraft at certain points, under 2.3 seconds is just too much though to close in. We'll have to wait and see. Look at the fights further on through the field. They are literally fighting for all it's worth at the moment, and cars going off further on down the field as well. That's the 333 entry of Liam Ioannidis that's gone off down there at the chase. Thankfully gets it back on. It's probably maybe the fastest way to go through the chase there. Just keep the foot pinned through the firewall and keep it flat on the grass.
Well, front wheel drive, you just steer it in the direction you want to go and hopefully the back follows you.
Absolutely. So the margin's still 2.3 seconds from first back to second. Johnson holding on and doing the job right now. Turns it into McPhillamy Park. Ethan Grigalt, how hard will he drive this car down the S's this time by? It's been a really good lap. Look at that left rear off the ground once again. Drops it down into the S's. Car complains a little bit. Oh, look at the way it hit that curb. Now he's all crossed up. Get it turned into the dipper here, son. He does do. Very close once again to the wall. But that curb really unsettled that car then that time by.
He's throwing that thing across the top of the mountain, desperate to stay ahead of Will Twining at this stage. And more trouble down at Forest Elbow, trying to get that car turned in.
You think it's a drift car at the moment. Like he's got the handbrake on the rear of that car at the moment. It's going sideways all across this track. Johnson, you got to hand it to him, though. He's done a really good job, and even on this last lap, with his margin of 2.2 seconds, is darting left and right across the road, heading down Conrod Straight to try and break any chance of a toe that those two behind might get. And if anything, Ethan Grigalt, 0.6 of a second between himself and Twining as they exited Forest Elbow, is probably going to hold on now for this second spot. Again, locks it up. It becomes a bit of the norm now, really, for him, with the smoke coming off the rear of that car. But Johnson out in front, what a tremendous drive. Really has controlled this race towards the back half. And the Autobahn entry of Joel Johnson. He's got one more corner to negotiate and will take the checkered flag for the opening race this weekend of the Excels at Mount Panorama. A comfortable win in the end when you speak of Excel land. 1.9 seconds between himself and Ethan Gregolt. Twining back there in third. Faulkner and Oliver completing your top 5. And still, Gary, the battles go on for the back end of the top 10.
And it's very close between those two getting across the line, side by side, and then they're still going on with it after they get across the line.
0.019 it was then between Hodge, Boyle, Taylor in amongst that mix as well. As we watch Roberts here in the 1:15 entry coming through the final turn as well, and everyone fighting for what it's worth through the final turn at Murray's Corner and completing the first race of the weekend. We did have that one safety car, but the rest of the battle was tremendous to watch. We could be here all day watching these cars go across the line with an entry field.
51 cars
for this weekend. So a great opening race it was in the end. Johnson getting the job done. Here's your results. Ethan Gregolt behind him, 1.9 seconds. Twining in third. Faulkner from Oliver. Then you go back to Buckley, Tyce Hodge, Matthew Boylett, Sam Taylora, and Volts completing your top 10. That margin, 17.7 seconds between the top 10. I dare say we might even see that a little bit tighter once we get through the afternoon here for the Excel.
And I think Oliver's only just lost one spot out of all that.
Certainly. Jack Walls, position number 21 for him. Jack Johnson further on through in position number 25. Ian Eady's after going off there on the road, position number 28 for him, as we'll scroll on through the page and see some of those runners outside of the top 30 as well. Jack Wood, a case of what could have been for him. He was 32nd overall, and unfortunately could have been much further on through this field. George Wood as well, we saw him have that drubber with the cars in front coming out of the cutting. Here's your highlights of race number 1. It was a great start. All the cars made it through. Certainly held corner for the first time, but it was once they got towards the top of the mountain where all the drama started to unfold. How was this battle 2 by 2? We haven't really seen this before in terms of Excels, because they were fighting tooth and nail, and unfortunately they all came unstuck. You felt it was too good to be true right here. Unfortunately for Swaggy H, as they often refer to him, Harry Tompkins, nowhere to go, and he was hard up against the wall on the left-hand side.
And that took out Tyler Collins as well, unfortunately. But that was wild stuff, and you'd call it a precision driving team, but they were going at it a bit rougher than what the display mob would do. And back underway.
Once we got back underway, we saw this brilliant battle with Buckley looking towards the inside of Aaron Oliver. This was, at the time, the battle for position number 4, because the leaders had actually pulled away from the rest of the field. And then this moment that we saw for Ethan Gregolt, your 3-time national champion, running wide before this moment. Unfortunately, contact, nowhere to go for Jake Burton, tagged in the rear and Wood in behind as well. Contact with the left-hand side ultimately cut down that tyre as well, and he would play no further part in this race. There he is, George Wood. Case of what could have been right front damage, and he was out for the rest of the race.
And Burton actually continued and finished 41st.
He did. Look at Ethan Gregolt on this final lap. The way that he hit that curve really unsettled the car. Thankfully got away with it, but it was the man out in front, Johnson. They couldn't catch him in the end. 1.9 seconds, the race victory. He will start on pole for the second race of the weekend, coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. That will be at 3:25 local time here at Mount Panorama. And how some of the dicey, in fact, back towards the rear and lucky not to go over there. Car number 86 collecting that inside curb where Brett Parrish went right up on 2 wheels last year as well. Tremendous race. Plenty more coming up here though for the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour qualifying for Trico Trans Am Series up next.
All the drama as usual at Mount Panorama here at the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. Welcome back to the mountain. Easter Saturday. The place is looking a treat. And what will be a treat is qualifying for the Trico Trans Am Series. It's round 2 of the championship. And we have 2 short 15-minute qualifying sessions coming your way. And among them on this one, the great Jordan Cox, who is worthy of the ticket price alone. There's some great names in this that we'll tell you about. Speaking of great names, what a welcome it is to the voice of Trans Am racing in Australia. Matt Nolte, he's never been to Bathurst before, doesn't know much about the place, but it's good to have you here.
Well, I know more today than I did yesterday, Richard Crail. It's great to be back here at Mount Panorama on qualifying day, the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. And 41 cars. You talked earlier today, it took 3.5 minutes to get 71 production cars out of pit lane. These guys weren't too far behind when they left the dummy grid just a few moments ago. It's a mixture of the Trico Trans Am Series. It's round 2, as you correctly point out, and the TA2 Muscle Car Series second round. There's 16 drivers from the TA2 Muscle Car Series that will get points where they finish over the next 2 days of races here. But a big field. And hopefully with these split sessions, we won't have the carnage that we had yesterday during their one and only practice session here that saw a few drivers licking their wounds and others not getting a fast lap.
Yeah, how about the names at the top of the pops though? James Moffat in the LMCT Plus car for Gary Rogers Motorsport. 2:11.8 was a 10th quicker than James Golding, his supercars rival. Nash Morris, who's in great form and coming off a really good weekend down at AWC Race Tasmania at Simmons Plain. Tom Davies next. Nathan Hearn, always a contender, always in the mix, was next. Benny Grice, another driver in good touch at the moment. The championship leader, round 1 winner, Todd Hazelwood with number 1 on the door of the TFH Racing Ford Mustang was 7th. Elliot Barber first of the Camaros. Looking forward to seeing what Jared Hughes can do this weekend. He's 9th. And Ben Bargs in the Hankshire Racing Mustang. First year in the category, and he's made an impact straight away. And we're biased because he's on our broadcast team as well. He rounded out the top 10 in a very, very competitive practice. But yeah, 1 session and 1 session only. So not a lot of time to get the eye in and to get the cars sorted. So there's going to be some cars that might not be quite in the window, some drivers that might not be quite in the window, and it puts more emphasis on these 15-minute qualifying sessions. We're already 3 minutes in, Nolts, and no one has started a flying lap.
Not yet. It's going to be headed by the Schaeffler Ford Mustang as he makes his way past the Ridges Hotel on the right-hand side. You're wondering, why is Jordan Cox in the bottom 50%? Well, he spent most of the session yesterday with electrical dramas aboard this Ford Mustang, so hopefully they've rectified that overnight. Jason Pride will also feature in this one in the JPM car. They had the wrong gear settings in yesterday. The car was maxed out on Conrod Straight well before the first hump, so they've changed that overnight, and hopefully the West Aussie will have a better day out here in the Harman Transportables car. But this is the big step up, isn't it, for Jordan Cox? The Human Highlights Reels, we've called him for many years here at the mountain. Both he and Ben Bargwanna have stepped out of TCR and full-time with the Trico Trans Am Series in 2025. So if you're wondering why there's only half the field, we split this over their practice times from yesterday. And for some drivers, didn't get a lap in there. Mark Crutcher was one of them, but only got the 1 lap in the session. Young female star Kiara Zavatakis, who runs the TA2 muscle cars, only got 2 laps in the end. In fact, she was on her flying lap when the second red flag came out for Ben Gomersall, who glanced the wall firstly at the grate and then secondly down at the Forest Elbow section. So the unit racing car got away with one yesterday, which you rarely do here at this place.
Correct. Young Ayrton Hodson, the Kiwi. Great to have him in the field. He's racing Super 2 this year. I spoke to his dad, Paul, last night, and he said, oh, look, any lap you can get at this place in a heavy V8 car that moves around a bit is a massive tick in the box. But he said, we're enjoying this Trans Am stuff so much, we might look at some other rounds as well, and I think they're keen to do a little bit more. Trans Am racing, once you experience it, it grabs you, it hooks you in. It's like an evening with Matt Nolte. You just can't leave. The storytelling is immense. Looking forward to seeing what Coxie can do. The relevant in this session, so they ran at the Bathurst International late last year. It was the penultimate round of the championship at the end of 2024. James Golding whacked the thing on pole by 0.02 of a second over Todd Hazelwood. The time was a 2-minute 10.6. So that's about a benchmark we're looking for with limited laps yesterday. Just it was a 2:11.8 for James Moffat. So there's always gain in qualifying, and I'm sure they'll find that, but I think you're going to have to do something in the 10s today to get on pole in this very, very competitive and very deep field.
Yeah, 2:10.31 is the qualifying lap record back in 2022 by Tim Brook, who's here this weekend overseeing the Hi-Tec motorsport operation down in the pits. Drove for them on occasions over the last couple of years. But you're right, with these air conditions, which continue to get warmer out there, man, it was cool overnight, 4 degrees early this morning, but 27 degrees to come up later today. Will we see maybe a 2:09 in this session?
Oh, that'd be sort of Trans Am lap of the gods territory, wouldn't it? This category's got a short but great history at this location. Cast your mind back a couple of years when Aaron Seaton and Nathan Hearn went at it and spent most of the top of Mount Panorama side by side, boxing on for the lead. Nathan Hearn then won the championship here at the end of that year, drove the thing after doing the burnout straight to the National Motor Racing Museum, and he only got that car out of there late last year, put the Mustang body on, and away they went. But they produced sensational racing, old school sort of touring car racing this. Big bag tyre, the car slide around, 560 horsepower, big heavy things to drive, but great drivers at the front. First representative lap time is Jordan Cox at a 2:13.7, but plenty time to come. You'd think from the Sydney sider, who has made his name as often as anyone in front-wheel drive and improved production cars, but loves a big V8 too, and will come to terms with these cars very quickly.
Cam Sandel looking at the wall, watching the cars go by when the tech guys involved with TA2 muscle cars. A very busy man with the extra cars that we have involved this year. As we jump back in car with Jordan Cox on the way down the mountain towards Forest Elbow. He's really working the steering wheel of the Schaeffler Mustangs. He comes out of the elbow and can breathe for a few seconds, heading down here at speeds of well over 275 kilometres an hour in one of these Trans Am cars. So he's on a back-to-back flying lap, and everyone in this group will be wanting to do that. They don't want to put themselves in a position if a red flag comes out, because the percentages are quite high that we could get one in this session. So you want to have a couple of good back-to-back laps. There's one of our local heroes getting suited up down there in pit lane. Good morning, Mr. Denyer.
I was very rude and interrupted Mr. Denier's coffee run and lunch run at the cafe earlier in the weekend.
Oh, dear.
A lovely conversation, and I dudded him out of about 15 bacon sandwiches for his team. So my humble apologies, Mr. Denier, and to his team. An 11.5 for Cox. So that's a representative lap time now. That is serious. He qualified 5th at Simmons Plains in the opening round of the championship. Strong start for Coxie. Hodson has done a 14.0, quickest in the final sector, so he's building up. Here's young Charlie Nash. Interesting that Charlie Nash and Nash Morris are gridded next to each other, so it's literally Nash Morris.
In the same team.
In the same team. I love it.
Don't want to trip over that one.
It just makes it easy and cheap for signage.
Correct. He's in the old Chris Pappas car that Papo run the last couple of years, the number 8 machine, and run out the Norwell Motorplex factory team with Paul Morris. The dude is here this weekend watching on, and Nash was quick yesterday during practice in this Trico Trans Am Series. Robbie Farr going through the shot in the Hi-Tec Oils Chevy Camaro, the sole Hi-Tec Oils Chevy Camaro in the field. His first look in anger in a race car yesterday, and I can tell you he has not stopped smiling since getting out of there, and all he wants to do is get to the end. I want to be faster by the end of the weekend, but I don't want to bring this car back with any creases. He's not intimidated. He just wants to have a clean, solid weekend.
I love the fact that Robbie Farr's gone circuit racing
Me too.
at this point in his career. He has ticked every single box there is to tick in the world of sprint car racing, and I love that he's gone, now, do you know what? I've raced at the Nationals, I've raced at all the Classic, all the big events. He's won them all. No, I'm not satisfied. I want to go to Mount Panorama and race a Trans Am car. I love that. It's a great story.
And he's trying to kind of feel his other mates to get into one of these cars in the next couple of years. We've got Domain Ramsey also in the field. We don't have Danny Reedy here this weekend, and the Desert Palms Resort team not contesting this round of the series, but we'll see the rock star, originally from Alice Springs, now living in Brisbane, back in the series later this year. And isn't it a busy year coming up for both series? From this series heads to Hidden Valley to race up there. Not too many drivers have run a TA2 car or a Trans Am car, and the rumour, the whisper getting around is there's going to be little to no track time available before the supercars round up there. So it could be a very different story when we head up there in the top end in June.
So no sneaky top-end testing / trip to monsoon.
Jordan Cox.
Oh, no. And he is absolutely buried in the gravel trap. That's down at the final corner at Murray's.
And he was just about to go quicker again. That's the final turn. And what do we say about back-to-back flying laps? He needed that, but that Schaeffler Mustang is bunkered down here at the final turn. Here it is on the replay. And heading back to Bathurst a little earlier.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's just going to get the wheels in.
Oh, I tell you what, he might be okay. If he can grab reverse, the rear Hoosiers haven't dipped into that gravel trap. This on board.
He got the grass to the right-hand side, didn't he?
And there might have been a bit of rear locking there as well, going that down change.
If he gets out of this, is the luck. We'll see if he's come out of it here. The front wheels are in, the rear wheels are right on the edge. But I think the body's actually on top of the gravel trap. And he's trying, because he doesn't want a yellow flag with 4 minutes to go. That would be pretty much the session.
He's got a hefty margin over Hodson and Nash. But an 11.5 isn't going to get you pole for this round of Trico Trans Am. And he needed that second lap desperately. It was on for a big improvement too. He was on for somewhere in the low 11s, possibly a high 10 based on the sector time. I thought he might have been able to drag that car out of there if he could get it into reverse. The Jack's Quick Pick Tyres car's got a lot of smoke pouring out the back of it. Bailey across the top of the mountain.
Jason Pride back at the Motorplex with that arrival. Is he going to keep it out of the gravel trap? No. So that might guarantee us a red flag. The Harman Transportables, number 14, prepared by Hi-Tec this year, is parked down in front of the ridges. They've given enough time, and now they fire the red flag with just over 3 minutes remaining. Jordan Cox stuck down at the final turn, and now Jason Pride facing backwards at a really, really fast point of the track in the chase. And Jordan Cox, you're right on for a 2:10 perhaps, but for everyone around, there's some drivers that haven't got a fast lap down there at the moment. And that will be just about the session, Kralsey.
So Cox's sector times were going to be somewhere around a 2:11.0, possibly quicker depending on how he got that final sector. And yeah, it just hasn't either been able to select reverse or that car has bottomed out. It's a very, very deep gravel trap there. And he did the right thing by aiming right and going down the escape road towards Panorama Drive and the Peter Brock statue outside the National Motor Racing Museum. But unfortunately, just the way the car spun and lodged itself in the gravel trap, had nowhere to go. There's Gricey, chilled out and watching on. Is the dog here? I don't know if it made the appearance.
Yeah, no Barry this weekend.
No Barry.
So spending Easter on his own. I was just about to say, as they went to that shot, he was taking the Grice way.
Yes.
To get out of the track, and sadly, he's parked it up on top of the gravel. Reigning champ Todd Hazelwood getting prepared down here for the second part of this session, and got off to a ripper start down there, didn't he, in Tasmania? A brand new Ford Mustang for the TFH team. And we talk about some of the teams in the 6-hour production. Look about TFH. It's been right across. There are so many TFH shirts down in the Trans Am pits this weekend alone. They'll be out in the next group of cars. So the red has come out. The time continues to count down, but it'll be Jordan Cox that tops the first session here with that 2:11.5, nearly 2 seconds clear of Ayrton Hodson, the young Kiwi star driving for Ash Jarvis Racing this weekend. Charlie Nash, Hayden Jackson aboard the 81, the sole Dodge Challenger. A lot of people lobbying for another one to rock out in the field. It's Alice, Todd's longtime partner down in pit lane. Mark Bailey, we looked at the smoke out the back of his car. Hopefully it's nothing too sinister with the 12 machine. Des Collier, Graham Cheney, Josh Webster, John Hollinger, and Mark Kreitzer. Let's have a look at how this first session went down.
Well, Mr. Excitement, Jordan Cox set the pace early in the Schaeffler Mustang on his debut this year in Trico Trans Am Racing. He set the benchmark early too, but then unfortunately digging a little bit too deep, quite literally as it was. Ayrton Hodson second. Gee, he would have loved that next lap around as well because he was on to improve and went within a couple of tenths of Coxie in that first sector. Charlie Nash was an improver. He ended up third at the end of that. John Hollinger was ninth. 20 of the 21 cars in the bottom 50% of the field banked a lap time. We only missed Craig Scatella at the end of that session. He ultimately did not complete a lap. And then this was the moment for Cox going down under brakes into Murray's. Got it wrong, dropped the wheel off on the grass, and that fired the car around. And unfortunately, just a little bit too deep into that gravel trap. Wasn't able to drag the car out. He tried for all his might, but the Sydney sider from down Shire way, south of the city, will have to look from the outside in and hope that that time stands up and gets him somewhere in the top half dozen of the field where he thinks he can be. And then Jason Pride at the end with a big spin into the gravel trap. And ultimately that was enough to bring out the red flag and call part one of qualifying for Trico Trans Am. Jordan Cox the benchmark to 11.5. Doubt that's going to be quick enough for pole position. Is it good enough to get him in the mix for race one a little bit later on this afternoon?
We understand the Chiara Zabatakis car might have had contact with the wall early in the session, a bit of damage on the right-hand side of the car. She was back in 19th position with Pride still stuck in the gravel trap. So to 10th position, Aaron Prosser was behind there with Robbie Farr, Domain Ramsey, Michael Coulter, Dylan Thomas, Brett Nile, Paul Hadley back in 17th, Jason Pride, Zabatakis, Wadley and Craig Scatella still chasing dramas with the 777 Chevy Camaro. Well, we talked about these cars. One of our great on-air talents this weekend is going to take us for a lap around how these cars work.
Hello everyone, Ben Bargwana here, driver of the number 97 Hangcha Ford Mustang in the Trico Trans Am series. I'm here to give you a bit of a look about what these cars are all about. First thing you'll notice, left-hand drive. These cars come out of America, that's how they drive on the road. We've also got a 4-speed H-pattern gearbox, which is a Hollinger gearbox built here in Australia. The next thing you'll notice, Ford Mustang badge. There's 3 different bodies of these cars. There's a Ford Mustang, a Chevrolet Camaro and a Dodge Challenger. But underneath, they are all the exact same. The engine here is an LS3 525 horsepower crate engine. That's got lots of mumbo, lots of go. Top speed of about 280 kilometers an hour. And then the car sits on these Hoosier slick cross-ply tyres. The way they're built, they're a bag tyre. They move around a lot. They're very exciting to drive on. We get 6 of these from qualifying onwards and we can use them how we want. And the best thing about Trico Trans Am is there's 41 cars here at Mount Panorama. Young guys like myself get a go, and there's experienced guys in the field as well. The action is awesome. We're here at Mount Panorama. Watch it all. It's going to be awesome.
Ben Barguano taking us around his Hangcha Ford Mustang, the junior Minister for Enthusiasm, I think, there. How good is this? Nice work from Ben and an inside look, and I love the coordination from the crew getting the bonnet off there as well. Counting down to part 2 of qualifying for Trico Trans Am. In the meantime, let's get down to that very, very busy pit lane with Aaron Noonan.
Well, Rich, cars are rolling down to get to the end of pit lane, and, well, you know, I know, we all know, hey, we like cash. Trans Am drivers like cash too. And series partner Trico is putting up $1,000 for pole position for every round in 2025. So not just the pole position on the line, a little bit of cash too. That'll get you going for your Easter Saturday for sure.
It takes a little bit more than that to get Matt Nolte out of bed every morning, Noons, but clearly the deals have been done.
What is this Pick on Me Day again? It's like another weekend.
It's otherwise known as Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
No, it's a great prize, and it's been great to see Trico on board. TFH backing the championship as well, which is awesome. Exciting things ahead for this style of racing in Australia. So we move ahead and look forward to part 2 of qualifying. Beautiful scenes here. Just on 18 degrees now already. It's come up 8 degrees in the last hour. So once that sun gets going, it is sensational here. Track temperature will build as well, and heading for a top of 27 here in the central west of New South Wales later today.
Mark Crutcher having a chat to Domain Ramsey, the larger-than-life character, and to the background there is Matt McKeldin, who's taken over the category manager rights with the TA2 muscle cars, presented by Maritimo. Craig Denyer also on the right-hand side. Great to see CD here, as ever. The man was the brainchild of the V8 Utes back in the day and got this series off the ground with Paul Robinson and the like back in 2017. So session will start in less than 60 seconds. The top 50% of the field will come out and set the pole. With that $1,000, there's also 2 precious series points up for grabs in the Trico Trans Am series, and boy, did we need that in 2024.
And Todd Hazelwood, what an amazing job he did down at Symmons Plains in a 53.7 second lap. He got pole by almost 4/10 of a second. It was a huge, huge percentage. The next 7 cars were covered by the same margin. Remarkably competitive, this field, but Todd smashed them down there and went on to dominate the weekend. So the pressure's on the TFH driver to back it up, but when it comes to runs on the board, won the championship, got number 1 on the car, leads the championship, swept the first round. Oh, by the way, he won Bathurst last year.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this place, he's pretty sharp as well.
Little side note. We've got to add in that one.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, great race winner as the clock starts ticking and the field heads up Mountain Straight. So 15 minutes, 2:11.54 is the representative lap time we're looking for. And that was set by Jordan Cox in the Schaeffler, I said Peugeot, Mustang. It is. Switching over
did
from
you really
PCR.
say that?
I almost did.
I missed it.
Almost went there. I didn't.
Okay.
Almost went there.
Don't worry, I've been scared of saying it too. It gets ingrained into you after a while. The good people from Schaeffler have come along to help him out for his Trans Am campaign. And here's Nathan Hearn. They dramas with this car yesterday. It was maxing out at 260 kilometres an hour well before the chase. He feels they've rectified this. And the son of Stewie Hearn, who's always in the paddock, will be looking for a big result here today aboard the Blue Gold Industries number 29 Ford Mustang as he puts some heat through these Hoosier tyres. Can that time stick? Probably not from Jordan Cox, but you never know. Could we get another red flag during this? I certainly hope not. We want to put those red flags away. It was funny watching yesterday the second practice session for the production cars, the 6-hour race, where the Hi-Tec oils bridge is. There's a flag point. And one of the flaggies had the blue flag out. I reckon for at least 10 minutes, thought about putting it away.
No.
I've got to keep this out.
Yeah.
What a sight it was to watch all those cars go out there in one hit yesterday. And tomorrow morning, just after 11:15, that is going to be a sight watching him go up Mountain Straight for the first time.
We need a chiropractor sponsor, I think, just for the wrist injuries that are going to come out of waving the blue flag so often in this weekend. Yeah, it's exciting stuff, isn't it? It's going to be awesome. We'll have some news forthcoming about what happened after practice 3, big incident, a couple of cars involved, and that may force a change to the grid. Fortunately, it seems everyone okay from that. We checked at the Mount Panorama Medical Centre, but our attention on Trans Am, and you need a couple of push laps to get the ultimate lap time out. Jordan Cox got 1 and 95% of a second one, and there is the Schaeffler Mustang that has been recovered to pit lane. We'll have to deposit some of the Bathurst Regional Council's gravel back to them after the session, but yeah, I don't know if that 11.5 will work. He was on for a low, very low 2.11, possibly an 11.2 or an 11.1 or even a 10.9 based on the sector times that he punched out.
So watching Todd Hazelwood on this out lap, he's picked off about 5 or 6 cars, and he's just tiptoeing here, hoping that, I think it's Grice, it is, on the left-hand side sees him so we don't have any contact mid-Conrod Straight. So he's trying to get himself to at least the pointy end of the field here to give himself some clear air aboard this brand-new Mustang. His winning car from last year is in the hands of Jack Smith this year, SDT Logistics, and great to see Jacko back behind the wheel of a race car this year as he gears up for another endurance campaign with Jackson Evans later this year in the Supercars Championship. But here comes Hazelwood and co on their way down to start this second part of qualifying in the battle for pole position in the Trico Trans Am Series. The field of 41 cars ready to set the grid for race number 1 this afternoon.
And Todd Hazelwood will start his first flyer. Works so hard on the commercial program to allow him to go racing. I caught up with him earlier in the season after demolishing everyone down at Simmons Plains, and he said, I am in a great place in my career. The balance between racing the TFH Mustang, between racing now for Shell V-Power Racing in the supercars. He's driving for his heroes race team. He grew up a Ford fan. He grew up a Dick Johnson fan, and now he's driving. He's just bought a house with his partner Alice. He said life is great. He's in a really good balance now. Worked so hard to build his career and go up through the ranks through Super 2 into the main game. A couple of different teams. Sometimes a fraught process. Sometimes there were shining moments where he put the car in a shootout and do an amazing job when perhaps it shouldn't have been there. But it was a tough process. Now he went back to an endurance racer. He won Bathurst. It was a huge, huge accomplishment. And now he'll continue that partnership with Brodie Kostecki in a Shell Ford in October. But right now he's got a second Trans Am title to win. But he's in a good headspace and he's driving well. And he hang the thing out sideways over the top at McPhillamy Park. That shows how much energy there is in these cars when they are on a push lap here at Mount Panorama.
That approach up the top, I was going to say right here, he almost rubbed the mirror against the wall on his way up through the cutting. And it looks like Josh Haynes perhaps up there facing the wrong direction in a really blind spot up there. It's a blind approach towards the Worth cutting here, so we'll check it out on the replay. So the reigning TA2 chap, was it up there? Yes, and kept it off the wall at least, which is hard to do. And it's going to pull the red flag with that car parked right on the racing line there at the Worth cutting. So nobody has got laps.
Hazelwood was on a belter of a lap, but Moffat had beaten him across the top. His middle sector was quicker than anybody. And both of those laps get abandoned, and the clock does not stop. It continues to tick. And all of a sudden, the pressure is on. And all of a sudden, Jordan Cox just goes, maybe my 11.5 is looking a little bit handier despite depositing it down in the gravel trap. So a little twist in Trico Trans Am qualifying. Such an awkward place to spin on the entry up to the Worth cutting. And it is a very, very difficult recovery if you cannot get the car turned around.
There might be some colourful language going in the helmets of some of these drivers right now. They're all pushing to get a banker lap in, but they're not going to get it. As they make their way back into pit lane here with the session stopped and the time counting down, less than 9 minutes remaining. I'd love to give you an update on where everyone is, but we can't right now. When the first sector times were hopping through, came to a grinding halt as back in the pit lane. Hazelwood and Grice on the right-hand side. Further down was the main ramps. Just saw Elliot Barber going through the shot. You might not recognise the livery on the Shure number 100 Chevy Camaro.
That is a cool-looking thing, isn't it? Yeah. Yep, he was top Camaro yesterday as well. A little bit of chatter in the week leading up about the performance of the various marks, but really the weight in numbers are what are giving the Mustangs such a domination, and the fact the big teams are all running the Blue Oval product. I'd love to see a Camaro up towards the front. Another iteration of this Blue Oval versus bow tie battle that is prevalent in Australian motorsport at the moment. It will happen in the Bathurst 6 Hour later on this afternoon in qualifying, with Tony Quinn's brand new Camaro going up against a fleet of Mustangs in A2.
So it was Josh Haynes, the Herzog Steel, sponsor number 37, the 20-year-old from Canberra in the ACT. You see the youngsters and the families coming along there. Give yourself a wave. You're going around the world right now. And keep those hats on, please. There's going to be a lot of UV out there, those temperatures in the high 20s.
Happy Easter. I hope you're excited for the Easter Bunny. We'll be here tomorrow.
Can't wait.
The Easter Bunny, I have been told, is coming to Mount Panorama.
Nice and early.
Very, very exciting.
So here it is. Once again, see the Herzog Steel Mustang coming in hot.
Just very wide notes on the entry to that. I wonder if it was already, if not in, grazing the fence on the right-hand side there.
That camera angle gives you a better idea of how steep the climb is through the cutting. That probably there is a shot when you look up and walk the track. And you look up there and you see, oh, that's high. But then you point to your friend and go, no, it's up there we're going to get to yet. That really shows you the height of this amazing track. Look down in pit lane. The dude's down there as well. And so too is Aaron Noonan.
Yeah, Matt, I thought I'd just get our camera to zoom on in here while we've got this little red flag. There's a fellow with a black T-shirt here. This man's not a dentist. You may know him. He drives the Shell V-Power 38 car. This weekend, though, he's on the headset for Nash Morris. Brody Kostecki back at the mountain. Last year's Bathurst 1000 winner. He is the man who is talking to Nash as they roll the 67 car now. Back on out to pit lane to get this session back underway.
At one point, these two had the team together was Flash Bush Motorsports. Back in 2021 when Nash debuted in the Super Cheap Auto Mustang. Brody lending his hand down to helping out the son of Paul Morris, 2014 Bathurst champion here. And has collected the trifecta when it comes to endurance races here.
Great character. It's always good to see Brody in the paddock. Good for a chat. A little bit of red flag stop time has been added by Motorsport Australia Race Control in this. So there's still 9 minutes and 57 seconds to go. So they've bought themselves 5 minutes in this session. So it takes the pressure off just a little bit to go and execute that lap time. Car's starting to fire up. We shouldn't be too far away from a resumption of play qualifying too for Trico Trans Am.
You've been doing this gig for a long time here. Driving in the other day, seeing the paddock as busy as it looks. Oh, yeah. Obviously every category's maxed out this weekend, but it's the campsites for me, mate, that really stand out how busy they are. It's gone right to the back row, which we have never seen here.
Yeah, record campsite sales for this event, 332 competitors total across all of the support categories. In fact, we've had to put one of the supports, the Pulsars and Formula RX-8s are in what in October is used as a campground. They've had to go so far back to do it, up behind that white row of marquees. You can see right at the very back of that shot. That's a campground most of the time. We've had to put the competitors up there because there's no room for them.
Amazing.
Anywhere else, yeah. There's so much appeal to be here. And this time of the year, the weather's often superb at Easter at this part of the world. There is the campground. a couple of mates camping there, actually, just enjoying it. And they've got the pig on the spit going, I'm told. Which could be the location for dinner tonight.
That is.
Amble over there.
Grab the address.
Yeah. That is the scene. It is a spectacular place to come and visit any time of the year. We know it. We love it. But it's cool to see this event building in popularity and building in attention and people choosing it as a place to come for their Easter holiday or go camping by the sea, or you could come to a much better place at Mount Panorama.
Alan Heafy in the black shirt with Barry Rogers to the side here, left-hand side. That's a unique way of stopping the car rolling back out into the lane for Domain Ramsey in the C&H trucking number 71. He was part of the first group of qualifying just before, so that time has started. They've used up that extra allocated red flag time. That's now frozen, so it's guaranteed 9 minutes remaining, and we should be good to go in a few moments' time. But my goodness me, it's going to be a very busy Mount Panorama circuit when the cars head out there. There'll be some desperation because you want to be at the pointy end. Yeah, that's old news, but especially this weekend with 41 cars, you don't want to be any further than the third row back. They're still having trouble getting the Herzog steel car up onto the flatbed. It's a really tricky spot, isn't it? So much elevation change in that one turn alone.
Well, it's very nearly the steepest point of the circuit, which is just around the corner on the run up to Reed Park. 1 in 6 gradient just around there, and that has been in the fence. So that's why there was no flick spin going on to get that car turned around. And it did look like it was very, very wide on the entry to the Worth cutting, and he's clearly found the wall on the outside there on the turn in. It is so narrow and so fast, and we say it every time we come here, unless you go and drive around or walk around the place, which you and I aren't likely to do anytime soon.
You said that with so much stress.
Correct. I recommend you drive when there's not a race meeting on at 60 kilometres an hour. It is a public road. It is so narrow, and it is completely blind at the kink before you get to the cutting. So they're very high-speed entry at 200 kilometres an hour, and it's not hard to get a wheel off wide there and understeer off into that outside wall, which has caught plenty of cars over its history in a long time we've been racing at this place. 7.5 minutes to go now, so the clock's still ticking, and the stress levels will keep going.
3 minutes to get around if you're at the front of the field. So we might only get the one lap. For some, they really might struggle to get that one in. I'm trying to talk this down too much, but you've got to be realistic in these situations.
Well, this is shootout territory now, almost getting there, or at very least it's going to be the last one to cross the line after the checkered flag.
Someone that might be slipping 100 to the track crew might be Jordan Cox right now to keep it like this. They've got the Herzog steel car. Now, you'd wonder whether they'll just tow this car up the hill into that little parking spot in the middle up there and let this session go. Here's a replay. This is from the forward angle, so it's just after it's happened. We did see a bit of concrete dust, and there was a bit of debris going over the fence there, in fact, on the right-hand side from the Herzog steel Ford Mustang at the Worth cutting. But look at that blind approach. You're coming up there from the left-hand side, and it's so narrow. The TV makes it look so wide, but it is so narrow up there.
A little shout-out to the crew up at the cutting Mount Panorama, a little Airbnb. You can go and stay up, and they always build their own little scaffold in their driveway, which obviously gets closed off for the event, and they're always up there. They're pretty active on social media. It's an angle you don't often see because you can't get up there and spectate at the cutting, but they can because they live there, which is absolutely fair. Not far away from a restart. Benny Grice towards the front of the queue. Todd Hazelwood is there. There's Jack Smith. Very sharp-looking SCT Logistics livery on his car. And they've got a little bit of data, a little bit of information after that first sort of 3/4 of a push lap they got. And there's Sir Jason Barguana, who will be back in the combox later on with us. He's on the headset to Ben, who is going to have to deliver a flyer, a one push lap. It looks like 5 minutes and 45 seconds to go now. Speaking of, as the cars roll out to start their form-up lap, Ben's been in tour guide mode this weekend. He showed us around his car, and now he takes us around the parts truck as well.
Hello everyone, Ben Barguana here, driver of the number 97 Hangchar forklift Ford Mustang in the Trico Trans Am series. As you can see, there is 41 cars here at Bathurst, so many bits that are needed for these cars. But the good thing is about this category, we don't have to carry a lot of spares because we've got the parts truck here. Let's go have a look. Here in the parts truck, there is absolutely everything we need as a competitor. Ball joints, suspension, timing belts, there's brake rotors here, there's even some hats there, oils, and a few engines here as well. everything you need as a competitor is right here, so you don't have to carry it on hand. The girls will help us out and we'll go racing.
He's very good, Benjamin. I like that. It's a model that works for a lot of different categories, Aussie racing cars. Porsche Motorsport in particular often rock up everywhere with the spare parts truck. So it's a cool model. It means you don't have to carry that spares inventory, which can be very expensive. Go and shop as you need it. It's like popping down to your local Woolies.
Brand new semi-trailer made its way down for the event. Out the TA2 muscle car stable. It's down into the dipper we go. So these guys are hustling. Elliot Barber, Jared Hughes trying to get back to the line as quick as they can. They left with 5 minutes and 25 seconds. 3 minutes to get around roughly. These guys are treating this like it is a qualifying lap just to get back to the line and maybe get 2 laps.
Well, I think they know that you need that second push lap, Nolts. That's where everyone's been delivering the peak lap time. So this outlap has a huge amount of importance to it. But what it also does, it's a bit of a compromised build-up. Usually they'd be a lot more careful about building the tyre temperature and pressure on their outlap. That's why you see them going so slowly, weaving left and right. But now for these cars, it's been attack, push hard, and then try and nail this first flyer. So 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go. So the sure car for Elliot Barber. He'll get 2 laps, no problems. But if you're right down the back, so Todd Hazelwood now is still halfway down Conrod Straight. He is going to do a good job to get 2 laps in this session. He might just squeeze it in.
Only about 10 or 15 seconds to spare at the end as everybody trying to find a spot and get to the line. So we know Barber and Hughes, they've got through. They're starting their first flying laps here. Here's Grice, Jackson Rice behind. Oh, these two are together again. They'll do this to me every time. Heading down towards the last turn. And young Blake Tracy in the background in car number 5 in the Auto Door Garage entry, car number 5. Here comes the reigning champ and the clean sweeper from round 1 at Simmons Plains. Who's going to get pole? Will it stay as it looks? Will we see some more drama? It's time to find out.
2 minutes and 45 in the session remaining as Todd Hazelwood got to the line. So 2:11 for pole. He'll get 2 laps just, but needs to make both of them count. There's a couple of cars a little bit further up the road. Elliot Barber's going to be the first real representative lap time. Jared Hughes as well, but let's follow the champ because we expect him to be the benchmark. And in their first sort of trial flyer they had at the start, he and James Moffat the LMCT Plus car were the pace setters. Hazelwood was quickest in the first sector, Moffat quickest across the top.
Across the shelf he goes, working. The TF8 Mustang inches away from the wall. Up to Solomon Park, kisses the curb on the left-hand side, charges towards Metal Grate. While the other guys are making their way down the bottom of the mountain, the reigning champ is hauling the mail here as he climbs to McPhillamy Park on what is a cutthroat qualifying session with just over 100 seconds remaining.
The thing I love about Trans Am is you might do a 2:10, but it looks like a 59 the way the cars move around and the energy in them. Nathan Hearn is on a very good lap a little bit further up the road. He's not far away from completing and the first representative flyer in this session, 2:11.5 to beat. Remember, that was the time set by Jordan Cox in the first practice session. Hazelwood now past the Bathurst Goldfields, down to the first hump at Conrod Straight. Jared Hughes with a 10.5.95 for Nathan Hearn. Massive lap time from the former champion. Goes right to the very top. 2:09.5. Hazelwood struggling to get the car stopped and turned right on the rugged edge and braking for the chase.
He was confident of that yesterday, Nathan Hearn. He goes, now we've unlocked the issue, we should get a 9. And he's delivered as Morris goes into second with a 2:10.5. The reigning champ comes out the final turn. He'll get to the line with 40 seconds remaining. And he goes into P2, and it's another 9. It's a 2:09.59, and it's 500 slower than Nathan Hearn. Oh, boy, this session is coming alive.
What a lap from Nathan Hearn, though. That's one of the great Trans Am laps already. Is there room for improvement, though? Can he go quicker? Josh Thomas goes to 9th. Jumps up. Jack Smith bumps him back to 10th position and goes to 9th. James Moffat to 3rd with a 10.1. Golding 9.7 goes to 3rd, but still 0.2 of a second away from Nathan Hearn, emphasising how good that lap was.
Evanet to the line, a little bit of smoke from the back of his cam, number 8, and he was the last car to get through. He's the last car to get through. For everybody else, it's checkered flag time. But the other guys that were going fast in the first run, are they committed? Yes, they are. We're back in car with Todd Hazelwood attacking Mount Panorama. Just needs to find 0.06 of a second to take pole. Or has he called it down?
He gave away about 0.3 in the first sector. So to the best set by Nathan Hearn there was no improvement. Elliot Barber's still on a lap though. He was one of those first cars to go around the second time. Hearn is still pressing. In fact, his middle sector was only 1/10 away from his best of the session so far. Golding also going on with it. And personal best first sector for car 31. So there's still some energy in this. Elliot Barber looking to improve. Doesn't need to find a whole lot of time to get himself into that top 6 and onto third row of the grid. Ben Grice, another one that needs to improve massively. Ben's buried down in 12th position at the moment as Blake Tracy comes up right from the back of the field to 6th.
And somehow Jordan Cox's time is holding on to 9th position, which is great for the Schaeffler Mustang. But a blistering set of 209s in this back part of qualifying has got Nathan Hearn pretty much locked in with a lot of green boxes. It won't be James Golding, the second sector, not encouraging for a time to knock off Nathan Hearn.
Hazelwood's done. He's out. Middle sector was nowhere, and he peels off to pit lane. So it's a matter of who can improve the most from further down the field. This will be interesting for Ben Grice. Was 12th, only 11th for the All-American Mustang.
Garwood goes to 14th. Here comes Cameron Laws in car 9. And it won't be that lap. He's tripped the curb down at Skyline. So that will just about do it. Bargwanna, the only car to cross the line, behind to maybe rattle the cage. And Golding.
Oh, Golding!
Golding on that, just as I was looking up, it changed. And the 31 goes 2:09.1. Where did that come from?
That is an extraordinary lap because his middle sector wasn't particularly special. He gave away half a second to Nathan Hearn across the top of Mount Panorama. His final sector was extraordinary. A 2:09.16, and James Golding from the clouds, I think, has grabbed the Trico pole position.
That is mind-blowing. 2:09.16, a new qualifying lap record. We wrote him off. We thought it was done at the second sector, but he's found something massive. Maybe 20 k's an hour, maybe on Conrod Straight.
Another big improver at the end there. Nolt Smoff did a 10.0 on his final push lap and got himself to 4th. So second row of the grid, wow. 9/10 of a second. That is some kind of lap from James Golding.
Big pole margin, nearly 4/10 of a second at the end of that one. We don't see that too often in the Trico Trans Am series, but Golding dug deep and nearly 4/10 clear of Hearn. Hazelwood, Moffat, Nash, Morris, Fitzgerald, Hughes has got pole for the TA2 class. With Blake Tracy, Elliot Barber, Tom Davies and Jordan Cox, the quickest from Group 1, will start from the 5th row today.
How?
Yeah, exactly.
How? Oh, I want to see some in-car from that. We'll go and get the GoPro out because that final sector, the chase attack, must have been amazing. James Golding on pole. Charlie Nash, Hayden Jackson a little bit further back down the field. Got some work to do. But an amazing lap right at the end from James Golding, and has stolen the pole position for round 2 of Trico Trans Am. Gee, it took a while to build, but it built towards the end, didn't it?
Absolutely. 4th career pole for James Golding in the Trico Trans Am series. Got it at the death knock of the session. He was probably the 2nd or 3rd last car to cross the line and takes the pole from Hearn, Hazelwood, Moffat and Morris. Outside of that 10, we saw Ben Bargwanna. Grice back in 12th position. Lockie Everett will start 16th. Josh Thomas back in 18th, and Charlie Nash from 21st. As the field make their way back into a very busy paddock area here at Mount Panorama. That's qualifying sorted. 45 minutes of racing to come up later today. But how about this guy? Doesn't tend to say too much. He's pretty quiet. He's pretty shy. But man, does he turn it on when he gets behind the wheel of a race car. Can't wait to hear his thoughts on that. We'll get to him soon as we take a look at this red flag polluted qualifying, the Trico Trans Am series here today at Mount Panorama.
Gee, if you'd said Todd Hazel would be 4/10 away from pole, you'd be laughed at, wouldn't you, after his performance down at Simmons Plains? But good job from the championship leader. Starts 3rd. Nathan Hearn was the impressive one, and that benchmark of a 209.5. We didn't think could be beaten. That was Haynes with his moment. So clipped the fence on the run up to the Worth cutting, and quite a bit of damage had to be recovered, and that was a lengthy red flag, and it set up an energetic end to the session where all the big guns got out and went firing.
Did they what? Man, still getting over that time. The guys behind like Hazelwood, haven't seen him as busy as ever behind the wheel of that number 1 car, trying to get a pole position here, his second in succession, but to be 4/10ths behind. That was a big statement from Golding. He was so close to touching the wall. That was his first flying lap. He climbed the shelf. It was a smooth lap across the top here, but he had to go for on that second one when the radio call would have been, hey, the boys have just done a 209.5, push. Like he wasn't pushing to begin with.
We were watching to see if anything was going to happen with the number 1 car from Todd Hazelwood. Ben Barguana at the end ended 11th, our boy. So I think we'll let him come back on air after that. That's a solid performance in his second Trans Am round. But through all of that, it was James Golding who went bang and went to pole, Noons. That was a great lap.
Bang on that final lap to punch that 209.1. James Golding, I have something for you. You will like this. It's got $1,000 on it from Trico for pole position for you. Look at that. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Tell me, where was that time? Because we were not looking for your car in that last run to the checkered flag.
Yeah, look, it's credit to the team. We decided to just leave the tyres. It felt pretty good on the lap 1, so I think a couple of guys decided to put sides on, basically, so we get 6 for qualifying and racing. And, yeah, just kept the temp in it. Knew it was going to be good on lap 1 and, executed from there, so it was awesome.
Where did you find the time on that lap? Because, I mean, the guys were looking at the timing screen earlier on and you'd lost a fair chunk to Nathan Hearn over the top of the hill. Where did you find it? I'd like to know where it was.
Coming down, the bit that was left, really. But, the car's been awesome all weekend. Obviously, didn't get too many laps yesterday, but feeling comfortable and just really enjoying driving these V8 muscle cars, H-Pat and old school around this track. It's awesome.
Got a funny feeling he's going to be hard to beat this afternoon, gents. And he was very hard to beat when we were here in November at Bathurst last year. James Golding on the pole, $1,000 with thanks to Trico.
Thanks, Noons. An outstanding lap and lap of the gods, Trans Am territory. My thanks to Matt Nolte. You'll hear his dulcet tones later on this afternoon. We're going to take a break from the mountain. We will be back at midday local time, live on Fox Sports and KO Sports in Australia, and then as well on SBS from 1 o'clock local time, Australian Eastern Standard. If you're watching from outside of Australia, the Bathurst6hour.com.au live stream will continue at midday Australian Eastern Standard Time. So much more to come this afternoon here at the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour.